Hey guys, we are live.
Hi.
Hello, everyone. Okay, so
Hi.
tonight we're going to be talking about intergenerational trauma.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to say that, but it's really more about
Yay.
yeah,
We
it's
will.
it's about us getting to know each other. So the central idea is that generations misunderstand each other, and that they may actually be reacting only to like not just to the person in front of them, but like who they represent. Right. So this idea of transference, right?
Yes.
So people are often reacting to old experiences, family patterns, fears, disappointments, social pressures, and unresolved expectations. So I think this will give us like a rich conversation for tonight because I feel like there's no end to how much we can exploit this concept, right?
Right.
You guys let us know if you can hear us all right. But what happened? Hello. So we're going to ask like the question: what happened to each generation that taught them to communicate the way that they do? And what happens when one generation's survival strategy looks like disrespect, weakness potentially, coldness, or oversensitivity to other people, or even irresponsibility, or like maybe a sense of rigidity. Like let's say like boomers to you guys, maybe they have this like moral rigidity. Like it's too rigid, where it's like it feels like a societal construct that it's like unfamiliar to you guys.
Yeah.
But we'll just dive into you guys. So what do y'all know about Sigmund Freud?
Ooh,
You study
interesting.
psychology. You have a
I'm just like I'm not wasting any time. I'm just going straight into it. Yeah.
Honestly, like I think it's one of the if not the most famous psychoanalytical psychologist that there was. He specialized himself in psychoanalysis, and he related consciousness to our subconsciousness in our traumas.
Right.
So saying that our dreams had an actual meaning and like would represent a way of how our subconscious is living through the conscious. And basically he explains that like our conscious thoughts are a result of the subconscious speaking, and there's like a direct correlation to it, but not necessarily that we can control. And he's also known for the ego, and the I.
Yeah, I think there's also, I think there's an extension on that. I think there's the super ego, right? Like the morally.
Oh, right, because I was forgetting so it's the id, the ego, the super
ego,
super ego, and what's the
ego.
I?
There's the id is the I. There's the id. Like that's the primitive part of your brain that wants instant pleasure and avoids pain at all costs.
Right.
And then the super ego is the morally conscious,
Yes.
like shaped by society, like in your parents. Like your parents say, this is good, this is bad. So that would be like the super ego.
Yeah.
And then the ego is like the realistic mediator balancing the id and the super ego. So it's like your ego is kind of like, it's like you have this constant negotiation going on with what's real and like what's plausible, what's feasible.
Yeah,
right?
I think it has like the devil and the little angel. You like
And
managing
yourself.
between the three of them.
Yeah. So like the id is like the primitive part of your brain that's like, I want this and I don't want
like
pain.
all the pleasure wanting things. Like for example, when a baby wants to eat, like that's the like the part that would be speaking. Like they just want to eat because it's a survival, and then like they're not going to manage anything else after that is like completed.
Right. So like the id would be like, I want a cookie, right? I want a cookie. And if I don't get a cookie, I'm mad. And if I get a cookie, I'm happy, right? And that's kind of like what childhood looks like. But then as you move into maturity, it's like there are times when you want a cookie and you don't get it, right? So you learn to like accept that reality. And then in adulthood, you come to like a conclusion on whether you get the cookie or don't get the cookie. And like, are you a victim or are you not a victim? Right, in general. So these you come to a conclusion and that becomes your personality essentially.
And he essentially developed a theory in like the idea of free association, I think it's called. Like how it rebuilds like your unconscious mind and how that has an effect on your conscious mind at the end of the day. I think that was the way he like gave therapy to his patients. Because he gave therapy too. And that's kind of like the approach of associating like dreams and everything.
Well, it morphed a little bit into more of the psychoanalysis form of it. In terms of like his therapy would look like the patient just like laying down and talking, and then like he wouldn't interrupt unless he wanted to like redirect the question or like where the idea is going, but not necessarily would interject, because he thought that the subconscious itself would like reveal through the speaking.
I love that you've studied this. I love it. Like, they didn't no idea this was coming. So
Right. That was the first
He's like,
question.
what?
I'm like, let's just go straight into Freud because I feel like so many other theories fall into it.
Right. No, and also like from Freud, there's Abraham Maslow, which is another psychologist that developed the defense mechanism theory.
Like that, and so like the unconscious like tricks like representation. All right, so tell me about that. Tell me about the defense mechanism.
The subconscious controls a lot of like the survival instincts as well.
Right.
And the defense mechanisms come from that part of the subconscious. So like this theory explains the types of different defense mechanisms that we can have.
Okay.
It's like avoidance or rejection or confrontation. And there's different levels that come to that. And it's like such specific patterns that amazes me, like in the way that it controls the way that we approach these situations, different circumstances that are complicated.
Right.
So
Marco, have you talked about Freud at all? I mean, this is kind of new. this is all new to you. I haven't it didn't give you any preamble other than like, we're going to talk about Freud.
Throw me.
Yeah. Well, we like to have deep conversations here. So tell me, what is your like relationship with this idea of psychoanalysis? Have you ever, pondered these ideas for more than, a passing moment? And if so, do you have like an original premise on what you think of like how, maybe even Gen Z or people your age or just people in general, like deal with reality?
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, like I'm gonna start coming in strong.
It is. I'm not very familiar with the studies of psychologists, although I really like it. But I've never gotten the chance to get really into it.
Well, tonight's the night.
Yeah, tonight is the night.
That's why we try to tackle like really big topics.
Yeah, this is gonna become like a therapy session for him.
Honestly, it is therapy.
Yeah.
I mean, it is therapy. That's really the whole point. Is that so you can kind of talk about whatever you want to talk about, like whatever you're dealing with. There are going to be many people who are dealing with the exact same things that you're trying to wrestle with. Hey, Mark Sands is like, Marco is like, what did I walk into? Mark Sands is a regular.
Yeah. No, I think like, for example, with the Gen Z, that theory from Sigmund Freud, I think it aligns with a lot of the things that Gen Z is looking for in terms of like our existential crises as a whole.
Yeah.
Like I feel a lot of us want to go to like the root of it all. Like we do want to go back to that trauma when we were 3 years old and like come up from there. I mean, it's obviously like a type of therapy that is very lengthy and very like it takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of time to get to like a healing place, I guess.
I do think Gen Z is more willing to get into this type of conversations than other generations.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we're more open in terms of like our mental health, but also in terms of like depth. I think we're also like more engaging and like wanting to know more in a lot of things. Like we were the kids that got stuck in that age where you're like 6 or 7 and you're discovering the world and everything is like, but why?
Yeah.
And the sun, but why? And and I feel like Gen Z just got stuck on that age, like we're constantly making questions about like why and how the world works and how can we change it if we don't like it.
And he's also famous for adipose syndrome
okay, like the falling in love with your mother and like killing your father.
Because that's one of the stages of development that he goes through. So he starts at like age 0 and goes all the way to age 12 to 18, which is very ambiguous because his theory didn't get like that far. And he also arguments that like the first development years are the most like radical to how your life will look like as an adult. So
I think there's some truth to that. Like I think there's a lot of truth to that.
I was telling you earlier that he has been proven to be right. I think whenever we like discover the patterns of human nature, I typically see like the deepest thing going on a little bit. So I think it's useful to explain certain traits that we have as humans.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that Gen Z are more open to talk about these things.
Does Gen Z, are they the most willing to talk about mental health, or is it also, or is is it more about like trying to heal the self, or why is that? Do you think it's because you have the language for it, that you guys have the easiest
I think
access to the
because of
language?
the information that we have.
Right.
Okay.
Before, even like going to therapy was kind of like a taboo thing.
Right.
And right now, I think our generation has definitely opened the doors to have this type of conversations. It's way more normal. It's way more casual.
Yeah.
And also because of all the information that we have. I mean, the internet, all the discoveries,
All the information,
Yeah.
books, memes, everything. Because like honestly,
Memes.
I think it's all of the above. Like
Right.
I've the things that have gotten more stock with me from psychology like has been memes. Honestly, I mean, there's some images that just like correlate the information in my brain and just makes it like visual. So it's like, oh right,
I
the
love
meme.
that. Right.
No, but like we have the vocabulary, we have the space, we have the openness towards it, and I think it's also a generation that was like a healing from the self, but also like I think of Gen Z coming to the world and being like, "This is awful. What are we gonna do about
Trying to
this?"
understand it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, what is this? Like, why?
Yeah.
So
Like
we're
Gen
like,
Z starting off with not agreeing with the premise of what reality is,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
like
Definitely.
saying like what this is, it shouldn't even be this way. So we got to change it.
yeah.
Yeah, we question a lot of the rules that
Established.
yeah,
Yeah.
that humans have established
Yeah.
along the years. I
Because
think.
no, absolutely. Because I think like that made me think of Generation Boomers.
Yeah, tell me about the
and-
relationship, because I feel like Gen Z coined maybe some young millennial coined the term boomer.
Right.
Like, okay, boomer, right?
Yeah. Just like elderly people now, you know, like
Mm.
above 50,
60.
60.
Mhm.
So you're
Yeah,
saying Jennifer
60.
Lopez is elderly?
No, let's go all the way to 60.
Okay. Yeah, I know what you mean though. You're like, yeah, people over a certain age, you know. And I think it depends on how you take care of yourself, obviously.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, people over a certain age, just because your point of reference changes.
Yeah, but I
Mhm.
think that generation has like they didn't stop to question the system because they I think most of them weren't in a position where they could, you know.
Right.
It was like a hard timeline for them to have the time or even the energy to think about that when like a lot of things were going around the world that affect. I mean, there's a lot of things going on right now, but it affected them a
Right.
different way.
Like World War II or
Exactly.
things
Yeah.
that, were, for example, part of this attachment theory that we're dealing with as a society came from all of these young kids who were taken out of the major cities like London,
Yeah.
major cities in England, and they were taken to the countryside because of World War II. There was a big concern of the bombings that were going to be
Mhm.
potentially happening.
Mhm.
Right.
And this psychoanalysis came to the conclusion there is nothing more damaging to the children than taking them all from their parents, because they all started developing these pathologies, right?
Yeah.
These problems. And so it was saying if any bombs are actually like a lesser evil than traumatizing these children in this way. So they had to send them all these kids back. Luckily, they kind of caught it in time to realize.
Yeah.
But it did create a lot of people that suffered for the rest of their lives with attachment issues.
No, and a lot of, if not most of it, like childhood psychology was developed after World War II. I mean, it started with Abraham Maslow in like the 30s, I think. But it actually started taking off after World War II because like there's this woman, Madeline Klein, that was also a psychologist, and she specialized in children, and like she also developed like her own theory of like development years. And it was very interesting because she started to specialize in that because there was a lot of kids that had all of these issues after the war, and there was also a lot of infants without any parents. So orphanages were filled with kids, and there was nothing to do, like, to deal with their mental issues, you know? 'Cause,
Right.
I love
mean,
that you learned about this because it's so important to understand like how we got here now.
Yeah.
Because I think people often think like, oh, I can't relate to you. I'm like, no, there is a clear line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you just look hard enough, like there's like a clear line to the previous generations to the current generation. So it's not like a phenomenon like, oh wow, like, well, maybe you can say, oh wow, but it makes a lot of sense how we got here.
Right.
Yeah,
This
everything has
idea.
like a pre-societal effect, like how do you say?
Like causal,
Yeah, exactly.
like a causal relationship. Like this idea, like it's interesting because I was telling Mario earlier today, I was like, it's kind of a fantasy to think that anything can happen to you and to pretend that it doesn't affect you.
Exactly.
Everything affects you.
Well, it's about knowing history, knowing where all of these ideas are coming from.
Right.
The generational trauma that people have.
No, because honestly, I mean, it's funny, but we
I
laugh
think-
about
I think-
it. But
I
I
think-
think it's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
No, it is a real thing. I think maybe people laugh about it because it's so hard to wrestle with the idea of generational trauma.
It's
like it
very
feels like,
rational.
yeah, I mean, it actually makes a lot of sense, but maybe it
Absolutely.
feels like, for example, my parents, it's like, I have parents, I have some parents I don't talk to at all because it's like there's no, the original premise, we can't even agree on what reality is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's this idea that generational trauma is still alive and well,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, and it'll just keep growing. I feel it's a cycle that it has, like, it started whenever first, like, humanity and society formed, and then it will never stop until, like, we're all healed, which I don't think we will.
No, but
It's like,
yeah, that's not gonna. I don't think that's gonna happen.
I don't think that's what
It's
we're
like
here for,
Hinduism,
but-
like when you're truly healed, you return to Brahman, like you return to the original source.
Right.
So I mean, you're
Yeah.
like your soul's
Like
no
your
longer
mission
being
is
recycled.
accomplished.
Completely.
But,
Yeah,
I mean, we're gonna grow up, and the next generation.
Are we gonna grow up?
Are we?
I hope
I hope
not.
so. Hey, Roxanne. Hey, guys.
But the next
guys know.
generation is just they're gonna blame us for a
Yeah.
lot of things that are happening in the world.
And that's okay.
And yeah, well, I guess yeah, sure.
Generational trauma has also been.
That's
Now,
fine.
go on. Did you have like a longer premise? Because what I've learned is after these lives, you guys, I've learned that people, clip stuff, right? That's like it's like, swiping, right? You
Yeah.
get everything vertically.
Mhm.
So it's funny because it should be obvious to me. People are like, you need to clip your podcast. I'm like, oh, right, of course, yes. And people are like,
You're
duh.
right.
Like people, and then some people are telling me like, Brent, the entire reason people do podcasts is to find clippable moments.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm doing it to heal. Like,
This is therapy,
reflect.
you guys.
Right.
This is a community.
I'm doing it for a community, but
Hey,
like
it can be
people,
both.
it can be both. Both can be true.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But somebody was telling me, they're like, bro, like the only reason you should be doing it is to find like 30-second clips. And I was like, huh? And then I was like, oh, of course, that makes sense because they can both be true. Like both
Yeah,
statements
sure.
can be true. Like I can enter this with the most pure of intentions, but there is an element where if people can't find it, then it loses its value,
I mean,
which is what it's the original idea of marketing, right?
you
Yeah.
doing that is like Gen Z adjusting to the
Mhm.
world. It's
Mhm.
like we're not
Yeah.
entirely on the same page, but
Yeah,
we're trying to like fix our way into how the world
Hey, Richie, what's
works
up?
and
Mhm.
Hey,
to
Richie.
get our way around it.
And it can be both. I mean, you can have a 30-second clip of something that can heal someone
Exactly.
Absolutely.
or make someone reflect.
Or-
about
And
something.
there's people and we have those people like that stay the 4 hour long that we're talking, and like it's a full on conversation, and that's okay. Like both
Thank you,
things
by the
can
way,
exist.
for the people who
Yeah,
stay
thank you
here.
for being here.
It's interesting, right? Because I think we're all like, we're looking for our tribe. Like we're looking for people who they don't have to think exactly like us, but they need to be they ideally are on the journey of healing.
Yeah.
And I think it's a mistake to even think that there's nothing to heal. I think that we all have something to heal.
Oh, absolutely.
Like all of us.
Definitely.
Like
Freud
even
would
if you,
say,
yeah.
absolutely yes.
like even if you had the most ideal, perfect childhood, there's still there are going to be some things baked into your childhood. Or what I like someone yesterday, let's say like it was somebody asked me for money yesterday, and it was the same day that someone in my family had asked me for money, and it made this all so sensitive. Like we're
Yeah.
all so incredibly sensitive. We're all sensitive creatures. And even when you think like, oh, I'm impenetrable, like, nope. like one thing and like all your walls come down and you're just like crying. This little
Absolutely.
thing you become, you resort to the child.
Kind of like a craft to be able to be open and sensitive. There are people who definitely have raised walls their entire life.
Yeah.
And it's insane how you can talk to some people and a subject that maybe you would think it's common for
Or
people to be
harmless.
sensitive
Yeah.
about, and it's not for them.
Yeah.
So I do think it's a craft.
No, and I think there's also a lot of people that are very uncomfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of
Mhm.
people that cannot handle a conversation that goes out of their way in terms of like what they believe or
Mhm.
what they like establish themselves on. And I mean, with our generation, that's one thing that I don't necessarily encounter as much.
Mm.
I think it's harder to millennial or a boomer about like their certain beliefs. You know, I think they're more like stagnant.
Oh, yeah.
That's interesting. Say that again. Stagnant?
Stagnant.
Like if they can't move?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think StreamYard is having issues. When I first started, StreamYard was like saying they were experiencing high traffic. So
Mm.
we'll
Oh,
see.
okay.
So if it goes
We'll see.
black, it's not me. But the
Yeah.
reason why is because when the more you're on here, like we all are
It
producers of the
is
show.
you.
Yeah. Well, it takes a village. It takes a village, guys.
Yes.
No, of course.
You know the expression, it takes a village to raise a child? I think there's a lot of truth to that.
But going back to the idea of generational trauma, I think it's been used like as a placeholder, like the term, or like as an umbrella term. But I think the more we talk about it and the more we define it, it's gonna be better for us to like everything can be generational trauma, yes. But the more we talk about it, it's kind of like gonna push us to define it, and it's gonna be better for us to make it more clear,
Right.
because that way we can also like approach it with a solution, let's say, or at least some sort of
Or some sort of understanding.
exactly.
And I think it fades away a little bit if you talk about it.
Yeah.
As the same thing as if you have a trauma and you are able to talk about it and express it,
Yeah.
it loses power.
Mhm.
And I think it's the same thing with generational trauma. If a whole generation talks about, I mean, something that either they're not comfortable with, I think it's easier for them to solve it,
Right.
and
Right.
definitely loses power.
Yes. Because once you define it, you can kind of see what's actually the thing.
Yeah, because if by defining a thing you can actually like it makes it tangible in a certain way, so you can
Mhm.
kind of like see it from another perspective rather like for example feelings,
Right.
something as simple and complicated as feelings.
Yes.
It's like once you put a word to it, you can kind of like analyze it and pull it outwards, and so it becomes like more apparent and you can do something about it rather than just feeling the feeling. And I mean you gotta feel the feeling.
You have
That's
to.
the point.
Mhm.
you cannot evade that, but that's not what I'm trying to encourage at all.
No, but you're saying like you have to acknowledge your feelings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like because
naming it and
what Marco
fixing
was
it.
saying, like if you don't acknowledge it, it builds up more power and more resistance, like almost like a bacteria that's like resistant to antibiotics, let's say.
Yeah, as a generation, I think we should acknowledge the things that we are doing wrong, or
Mhm.
the things that we feel like other generations have done wrong to us.
Yeah.
Amen.
I think about it like, for example, older generations, when they talk about how maybe parents used to hit their kids,
Mhm.
and they actually don't talk about it, and you see a whole generation just holding that those
Yeah.
memories and those experiences
To themselves, yeah.
and it's crazy how you can talk maybe, I don't know, to your grandparent and he will never talk about that.
Yeah.
And a whole generation is doing the same thing.
Yeah, that makes me think of though like what is the thing that makes us change as a generation.
Mhm.
And I was thinking of that as like millennials, for example. I know a lot of millennials that suffered from that, like
Mhm.
their parents being aggressive in that way. And there's a lot of them that did replicate that symptom that
Behavior.
those attitudes. There's a lot of other people that didn't, and it makes me wonder what was the thing that made them change, because it's so easy to replicate, you know, like especially a trauma, or especially if it's like a pattern that you learned. It's so hard to break it and come out of it. So what would the symptom be in a generation to change it? Because I think Gen Z, if we were to have kids, because that's another issue.
We've talked about it here.
If we were to have kids, I think that's one thing that we wouldn't do. I think we're too worried about, not too worried, but we're very conscious about the things that we do as a society and as people,
And our own.
and are
Yeah.
aware of the fact that if you have a kid, you're gonna print all of your things
Yes.
onto that kid.
And that's
And-
inevitable, but yes, we're aware of it.
It's you can go around it, but
Mhm.
I mean, if
You're making a good argument, but you're making a point that you're the first generation to really be hyper aware of it
Yes.
and know that it's unavoidable to have that trauma. And so
Mhm.
therefore, it's like a lot of Gen Z are not having kids out of an abundance of caution and realizing that it's like, I don't necessarily want to deal with that burden.
yeah.
Right.
I
Or-
think, and you can also reinterpret that, but that's my interpretation of it. I had this conversation with Herman yesterday, and he's like, why I was like, I want kids. And he's like, why would we bring a kid into this crazy world?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you sound like me,
Mm.
but at the same time, I think it's, I feel like I can face the battle,
Yeah.
you know?
No, and I have friends that like how they explain that is like, if I were
Thank
to
you,
have
Mark
kids,
Sands.
I would want to be like a healed, knowledgeable person, so that I can raise this kid into like the best version of themselves,
Yeah.
and like not
Mhm.
have to go through so many things that we think are unnecessarily traumatizing or
Mhm.
like hard unnecessarily.
Hmm. Yeah.
So-
Yeah. But you're right in like what you were saying, like how we realized that
Thank you, Mark.
behavior was kind of like, thank you, Mark, was kind of like damaging, let's say. Because I think that the older generations, as we were saying, probably didn't like know better, you know, like necessarily too. So it's interesting that we're also being like aware of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't necessarily understand how the circumstances took us here,
Mhm.
because I mean, I understand how the circumstances formed boomers, for example,
Yeah.
or
Mhm.
millennials in like the way they express themselves nowadays.
Mhm.
You know, like
Mhm.
I kind of comprehend it, but for Gen Z, like I mean, it's my older generation and I'm young, so
yeah.
I'm
yeah.
probably not supposed to understand it that much.
Right.
But yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I do think it's because of all the information that we're able to acquire.
Yeah.
Like on the internet, the older generations didn't took that serious the mental health
Right.
stuff.
Right.
And us getting to know more circumstances and,
Mhm.
for example, knowing the circumstances of people who live in Gaza and stuff like that, we definitely we're more aware of the world,
Yeah.
of what surrounds us.
Yeah.
We're hyper aware.
We're hyper aware.
Way too
Yeah.
aware.
Yeah.
And part of it is also, I think, part of it is information, and that's a big part. But I think it's also like vulnerability. We're not that afraid to speak about things, like emotional things. Like, let's say we open up ourselves to friends more, maybe
Yeah.
not necessarily parents. I don't know if you know, but maybe to friends and like to like the close circles that we formed. We're like more willing to speak about all those things. Whereas I think that with maybe older generations, it wasn't the case, because I see it, and probably you see it too, guys, with your parents and my parents. It's kind of like, I don't know what they talk about with their friends, you know?
yeah.
But it's interesting because I also know that they don't necessarily speak about the same things. And I think that vulnerability comes from like, again, like the information that we have, but at the same time, I don't know, it's everything. It's kind of like everything, you know, like how we perceive the world and everything.
Yeah, because I think Gen Z is also a generation that was born craving connection,
Mhm.
especially during the rise of the internet. Like that was because I still got to be like a DVD kid. I got some VHS
Yeah.
there, like in my
Blockbuster.
early years.
Yeah.
Blockbuster, but like we got the rise of it all. Like I wasn't born without any technology, you know. Like we had the GPS and
Yeah.
and the Blackberries,
Exactly.
and but I think that created like a clash in how we saw adults communicating,
Yeah.
because there's this like example that I think about a lot when you ask a kid nowadays to speak to the phone, like to make a
Oh,
call, like
yeah.
imaginary phone, it's like this, like the whole hand, you know.
Yeah.
But for us was still like this,
Exactly.
you know. So those little things that you copy from your parents are the things that end up being the
Informing
ones that being
your-
the ones
your
that you
whole-
want. So I mean, I got to see my parents communicating a lot, and that was normal. Like when my mom tells me about like how she was in an exchange in Canada as well when she was young, she would only talk to her parents like via landline once a week, because it was very expensive, and it also like you didn't have the ability to be in constant communication all the time. So like that changes the way your brain
It's perceiving
thinks about
things.
communicating and relating to other people. So
100%.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah.
Marco, you were going to add something to that?
No, I find it very amazing how right now we can just communicate by sending a text.
yeah,
And before they had to send letters, and the letter arrived at the end of the month.
Yeah. Yeah, like
So-
send a
yeah, that's
pigeon.
crazy.
Like
The
it's
pigeon,
crazy.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that the pigeon was like the idea of like, wow, like it's airmail.
you
know, like training
I
a-
read about
a
how we
literal pigeon.
forgot pigeons. Like we trained them for them to deliver the mail, but then we forgot about them. They're like just roaming around Earth.
Yeah,
yeah.
Like with no,
they're
We
useless now.
made them
Yeah.
disposable, and that's so sad. Like, go
Yes.
adopt a pigeon, please.
Yeah,
and
pigeons are
train it
everywhere.
to
Like
your-
you guys, they're jobless pigeons in every city on
Exactly.
they're
Earth.
suffering from unemployment
Exactly.
as well.
You,
Like
yeah.
me.
See,
Andre
the
gets it.
generation of
Marco
pigeons
gets
as
it.
well.
Yeah. How do y'all feel about defensive mechanisms? Because I feel like we all have our defensive mechanisms, right? So like maybe like instead of judging behavior, like we ask like what are you protecting, right? Do you ever wonder like what are you protecting? Why are you what's a common trigger that kicks in someone else's defensive mechanism for you guys? Like, do
A
you guys ever
defense
see it?
mechanism that is like activated on me is like whenever somebody like ignores me or is not acknowledging me, I tend to like shut down because I'm not very confrontative. So
Confrontational.
confrontational,
Right. Like you don't necessarily want to. I think it's okay. Like if it's with me, you can just be like, why are you ignoring me? And I'd be like, oh yeah. I would, I feel like I would just tell you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, but like the way I was raised, that was like how it was.
Right.
And so just navigating through that has made me like react that way. And I don't necessarily think it's a good thing, but I try to like give it space and give it time and let it breathe, other than like actually being confrontational and like.
I would argue that your non-confrontational nature is actually on a larger societal level healthy. And the reason why is because you don't know how people are going to respond individually.
Yeah.
You need to get to know someone and know, okay, like Brent is responsible enough that he's not going to go crazy,
Right.
or respond in a way that's, not conducive to the relationship.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're talking to someone else, you don't know what's going to send them into a crazy tailspin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that
that's
make
the thing.
sense?
Absolutely. I mean, and I'm very like, I walk with the mindset of like, you don't know what anyone else is going through, and like everyone has a life as vivid as yours, and so I like approaching people that way. That's why whenever I have like a conflict or something is making me uncomfortable or something, I try to like analyze it and look at it before I actually try to intervene in that situation, which is a nice thing. But then like also not letting it control the way the narrative goes.
Sure.
'Cause it can become a pattern,
Yeah.
So
I think that's one thing about psychoanalysis is that we do look like for patterns that make us feel comfortable. Like instead of looking for love, we often look for like a pattern that
Mhm,
feels like
mhm.
it's like we're comfortable in this space.
Right.
Have you guys ever found like have you ever noticed any patterns in your own behavior and you're like, oh crap, I do this, even if it's something subtle? I've caught it. I catch little things. Or like if someone's getting too close, if I'm pulling away, I'm like, why am I pulling away?
Like,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
example, for me, whenever I try to like explain something to someone else and like they don't understand me quite fast, I'm like, I start to get like not angry, but like, you know,
Impatient.
but I took that from my dad, I think. So it's kind of like that thing.
Is your dad like impatient, or is it like
Um,
what is it?
I think he like overestimates how fast
Yes,
people
I'm
can
Andre.
understand.
Oh yeah,
and
I
so
do
when-
that too. I think it's also like I think it's like a doubly angry thing
Yeah.
because you've overestimated their intelligence or ability to understand something,
Yeah.
and so therefore when they let you down, it feels much more egregious
and I think
because you gave them the leverage, you gave
Yeah.
them this like benefit of a doubt.
I noticed
Yeah.
that part with like from my dad, let's say.
I wanna answer
Yes,
the
Nyberg has a
question. Have we moved faster than we can biologically coped? Honestly, I think so. I think technology has
Cope with, I think it's
past us.
Uh-huh.
Like it's moving so quickly, especially nowadays. Like every technological advancement happens every day, and like it's crazy to see it happen live. You know?
Yeah.
I didn't think it started with the iPhones, you know, like
Mm.
with the phones evolving every year, like there was a new one, and I was like, how is this
Yeah.
how is this possible? Like, how are you
Yeah.
coming up with a new iPhone and with a new camera and with a new software
device.
every single year?
Yeah.
It's
It's
like,
insane. It's insane.
how like, and so I feel it has pushed us as a society to a place that we don't know, and we don't like we're so far away from actually understanding how it makes our brain different
Mhm, mhm.
from 5 years ago or
What we
10
have
years
now.
ago even.
Mhm.
And so it's not too far away, but I think we've been pushed to this place of like hyper awareness and over communication, if that's the thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um,
No, yeah. I think we will see the consequences of like some devices later on.
Oh yeah, no,
Right,
definitely.
like headphones.
Some things are going to just be banned. They're going to be like, I can't believe that was ever legal. And I'd be like, I was
That was
saying it
never
the whole
possible.
time.
Right.
But
What
y'all,
were they doing?
well, do y'all have any theories on like what will like? I don't think that you should give a child an iPad,
Mm-mm.
right?
No.
Or but these kids are so used to swiping, and they're not even like 6 months old.
Yeah.
For
No.
me, it's a bit scary. I can understand that we all interact with the technology that's available at that time, but it does make you think, well, dang, like what are the consequences of their mental development?
Yeah, that's so dangerous for a kid. I'm gonna say.
What were you gonna say? Yeah.
Oh, but I mean, I think I think we're about to get into a territory that we do not understand. Like our
Mhm.
generation is not going to understand it.
Right.
AI, just talking about AI.
Who's that?
I don't know AI.
I don't know her.
Two-
I'm just kidding. Go on.
Please do not send her to me.
2023,
Yeah.
it's insane to think what it would be right now.
Yeah.
You couldn't even imagine. Like we would be having all of this technological advance
Yeah.
Right.
this year. So imagine just in 5 years,
Mhm,
the way
A year.
yeah, a year.
A year.
Now imagine. Well, I mean, I don't know if you want to have kids, but but if you decide to have kids,
Mhm.
what kind of world are your kids gonna be living in?
I think that's my worry that we have.
My little cousins are already playing with their iPads. They're like iPad kids.
Mhm.
So are iPads still gonna be a thing when we have kids? Like, it's
Yeah.
insane to think.
It
Yeah.
is. It is insane to think. I think it's gonna like. I don't know why we haven't gotten to holograms yet.
We actually did. When I was
wanted-
younger, they tried, but nobody was buying it. Like they had
really?
this thing where you could like type, your phone would like send out a hologram, and you would type onto it. Like if your finger interrupted the laser beam, that would like
Okay.
trigger. But people were like, no, I'd rather it's easier just to swipe,
Right.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. you know? So I think the idea of holograms, it's like better in theory, but actually
Right.
requires more interactivity than you would think.
It looks cooler.
It looks cool,
It
like in the
reminds
movie.
me of
Like,
Star Wars. So
yeah, or like
Takes me
Minority Report.
there.
Yeah.
But I always wonder that, like, what's the next iteration, like big iteration of the smartphone, because everything is now like a rectangle, like a black rectangle.
What
But I don't know.
Yeah. Just like the screen.
I mean, yeah, but what Marco was saying makes a lot of sense to me too, because I cannot like imagine it. It doesn't mean that it's not gonna be different, but I cannot imagine it like right now. But I think that's the thing that he was trying to say, right? Whenever we talk about like AI, we didn't also like imagine that, and now it's a thing. So
Yeah.
No.
What if we stop with the AI development and start building flying cars? That would be a nice invention.
Aren't flying cars just planes?
Can we trust like
Yes, but no.
the
I mean,
general
maybe
population?
I think maybe drones are the closest thing to flying cars today.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the idea of flying cars, like it's kind of like it's like drones. But I imagine if you get into an accident, you just fall out of the sky.
I don't know if we can trust like the general population to
Oh,
try
yeah.
a flying car.
You know?
I mean, here in Mexico City, definitely not.
Right. I mean, imagine like
It will
being
be
stuck in traffic, but in the
chaotic.
sky.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you'd burn up all your gas just by hovering
Yeah,
Right.
in that one spot.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know.
People will be falling off from the sky.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, because we would. My brain would think of it like we have us having floors, like elevation. So if you're going to this direction, like it would say like, oh, fly at this altitude.
Andre's like, I'm built different. I can handle it.
I want to be a pilot now.
I can handle it.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, definitely. You want me to like drive a flying car? Absolutely.
I can
I'll
handle
do
it. I'm just different.
And it
like
doesn't need to be automatic.
Right.
I'm that capable.
Right. All right. So here's my question. What happened during your formative years that you think permanently changed the way your generation sees the world? So what happened? What was like the key event that you feel like took place? It could be something inside of your household or like something that happened on the global stage. I feel like for my generation, 9/11 was such a huge defining moment.
Mhm.
Like we'll never forget where we were, what was happening. For 9/11, it was so traumatic.
Yeah.
And just the way people behaved and became paranoid after that event, that was definitely defining for my generation.
Yeah.
And even people older than me. I'm sure people in the chat. I mean, Gizmo, who's watching, he didn't go back to New York after 9/11. He didn't go until this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so he was like, "This is my first time back in the city." So Gizmo, thank you for taking us to the Lion King.
Thank
but
you.
that was his
Thank
first
you.
time back in the city, and it makes sense because it was so like it was like hellacious,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So I have a guess, but there's all this technology and also the big flu.
Yeah.
I think
I was
you're-
gonna
yeah.
say that one, but
Mm-hmm.
because I think like the development of like phones and like every digital thing was kind of like more a transitional thing rather than a single event, or at least to me it feels that way. But yeah, the big flu was part of like a more formed event that was kind of like
Right.
It was definitive in a lot of things because like especially I think of it as the technological advancements initiating with the flu,
mm, mm,
because everything became digital.
Yeah.
And we had to keep the world going without being able to interact with ourselves. So we
mhm.
built the tools and like utilized every single one of them to
Mhm.
make that happen and like for everyone to be okay and better
Yeah.
and safe. But that made the pushing of technology all the way to the point where we stand right now. Because I think it was very hard in a lot of ways, and so I think it was very definitive for our generations. Because it's also, I know people that like started high school or started
Yeah.
secondary school or
Mhm.
finished university or finished high school, and those are like very major stages in life that you
Mhm.
want
Right.
to go through in like a
Happen.
In a
way,
social,
you
and
know?
ideally in a social setting that doesn't
Yeah.
feel like dystopian.
Exactly.
So
like
you're-
you want to feel safe because your brain is not making you necessarily be the safest or like
That's real.
Exactly.
the most comfortable and like who you're discovering that you want to be.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
I think this idea of just like climate anxiety was definitely like during your lifetimes,
That's
like
it.
your
Oh,
whole
yeah.
lifetime, people talking about climate change.
That's
I didn't really. That was like almost like a fringe idea until, I would say around the time you guys are being born, people were like really talking about it very seriously. But before that, it was kind of like, yeah, sure, whatever.
It'll happen.
Right.
Yeah.
But then it became this thing where it's like, now it's like we project our
We
anxieties. Yeah. I was gonna say,
We love.
yeah. We project our anxieties onto our children, right?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
any anxieties that you have in the home, they're gonna manifest in some way, shape, or form in the children.
Yeah.
Did you guys grow up with any anxieties about society as a whole? Like, was anybody saying like society is collapsing, or we're losing like our economic uncertainty, perhaps?
Yeah.
Or even just like the idea that, during your entire lives, you've been able to compare your lives to someone else. Someone is like posting pictures. Like, I didn't have to grow up with that. I didn't have to deal with that.
For me, it wasn't like at that scale, let's say, but yeah, it was definitely like some anxiety of like the world in general and how dangerous it was.
Right.
And again, as you were saying, like the environmental thing was like a big thing, because I remember like since elementary, I was hearing like, like the water is gonna run out someday, and that's not a thing that's very like
That a kid wants to hear.
exactly. No, it's I mean, you worry about those things, so I feel like that type of things were like the ones that impacted my development.
Well, I mean, and we're seeing the consequences.
Exactly.
Querétaro, which is where I am from, it's so hot.
Mhm.
It's so hot, and it was not like that when I was little.
yeah.
So yeah, I think it is. But I don't know if I experienced growing up some sort of social anxiety from my house. I do think the one anxiety that I have gotten over the years is the violence
Mhm.
in society.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
The danger
Yeah.
that surrounds us.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah. For me, like, I was always a very aware kid. Like, I always felt hyper aware of the things that were going on in my own household and like the dynamics and
Mhm.
the place that I took as a kid. Like, I always, as a kid, I felt very responsible for the things that were happening in my life and like in my family's situation and dynamics.
Mhm.
So that implemented into my whole life. And I remember when I was in elementary, I had to do like a school project, and we were choosing, like, it was sciences,
Mhm.
and I chose to study clouds
Mhm.
because I was fascinated by clouds. And then like that got me to the thing of the water, and I started worrying about the fact that it said like by 2030 or 2040 or 2050 we were gonna run out of like clean water.
Yeah.
And we're close to that now, which is very scary. And I do remember being very worried as a kid about the
Mhm,
environments, like little things. I really wanted to like recycle all of my like cardboard and the plastic, and I was very worried, even if I didn't have the whole information.
Mhm.
And now that I have that, like as an adult, it worries me even more, but I feel less empowered to do something about it.
Mhm. Mhm.
I feel it's like
Right.
it feels so out of my control and so big and so worrying that it just shuts me down. Like I do my best to recycle and I do my
Yeah.
best to like take care of the environment.
Yeah.
I don't have any clues on how to fix it or where to start. Like I can consume less plastic and I can do all of these things, and but it doesn't feel enough.
And you come to accept it
Yes.
in some level.
But let's not accept it, people. I don't want this earth to die.
I'm sorry, Andre. That's just the way it goes.
Like, please, no. It scares me. Like the idea of not having clean water. I mean, it's already happening and it has been happening for a lot of years and a lot of decades in different parts of the world. But it like, why are we not more worried about it?
You make a really good point. This idea that I do have those moments every day where I'm like, why are people not out in the streets marching about this cause or that cause?
Yeah.
And I do think that people are marching in the streets. And, it's this idea of organizing and like getting yourself together. It's very interesting. I feel like we're on a constant threat of our distraction being redirected towards products, towards advertisements, towards
consumption.
You're right, and I feel like it's a concerted effort to do that, and so it feels like it's probably harder to organize because of those reasons. Because the whole system is rigged against you getting to get everyone together and making it, it's kind of like if you do an event, it's like it needs to be profitable. Like
Yeah.
you need to make it a concert. You need to make it a benefit, so it implies like a budget,
Yeah.
all these different things.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I don't like millennials, like the big events that they were worried about were 9/11. There was a big recession that happened in 2007. Student debt was a really big deal. Like
Y2K.
huge. Yeah. Y2K, that was the
Y2K.
entering the 2000s. That was a big deal.
Yeah.
And just the internet transition itself was huge. Like everything
Absolutely.
being like digitized is like, what? Like I have to digitize my whole life, every picture.
Yeah.
It didn't start off that way.
Yeah.
We like had books and we were like, what is that? That's a photo album. I was like, wow. But
Photo
like,
albums were so nice.
Right.
We used to have so many, like in my house.
right.
We had like just endless photo albums.
Are they still around? Are they collecting dust or have they been like sucked into the black hole? Like, you know what I mean? Like, where do
Some of
those
them
things go?
have
Where's that
been-
lost sock?
Are gone to the black hole. Some of them are just in boxes. We have everything digital anyways. But
yeah.
I do, every time somebody brings up a photo album, it just makes my heart so happy.
Yeah.
It's like the gossip in me
Yeah.
and the physical form of the thing, and it just feels more like real and tangible in a certain way.
And
Absolutely.
Kids don't have that these days. It's sad.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Keith PB House is
True.
quoting
That's-
Jaws. He says, I think we'll need a bigger boat.
Right.
That was a line from Jaws back from the 70s. And then, our generation was told to follow our passions. Like
Mhm.
everything was like, follow your passion, follow your passion. I don't know if Gen Z is necessarily being told that. Are you guys being told to follow your passion? What is the advice that people give you about your jobs? Do they say like, what is the general advice? And also home ownership for our generation was the first where it was like, okay, no, that's not going to happen, boo. that
Give up
idea.
now.
Well, Gen Z, it's like, it's especially hard, but it was already hard for millennials. It was like, it was the first time where it was like home ownership was like out of sight.
Yeah.
If not, just out of reach.
I do think our generation has been told that more than
Yeah.
other generations.
To follow our dreams, you say?
Yes.
Or passions?
Passions, dreams, yeah. But for example, me, because I have surround myself with people that think the same way as I do, which is follow your passion.
Mm.
So
Mm.
it's
Yeah.
kind of like a support. It's my own world.
Yeah.
Sure.
But there are definitely people that know that they haven't had that support,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. I
You
mean,
make a good point. That's a really healthy acknowledgement. Like the idea that being told to follow your passion is inherently wrapped in like privilege.
Yep. It is.
Yeah.
It definitely is.
Yeah.
I mean, I recognize my own privilege and like following my passion, because I mean, it started with my parents. Like they were always very hesitant on the idea that we should follow our passions and dreams and not necessarily settle for the best option in like economical way or whatever standards in society are. So
Right.
like I've always been very pushed towards doing this, like following my passion and like doing what I love, and also creating my own community. Like I feel
Mhm.
that's like my community 3 years ago wouldn't necessarily support this or would tell me like you're crazy. Like,
Yeah.
come on. I mean,
And
I
what
wanted
is
to be a
this,
doctor,
too?
so-
I think it's interesting. Like, what is this? I feel like my generation was like so experimental. Like you could go do something and it was like no big deal. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, there were famous people who before that did jobs that are illegal. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I feel like there was something about the previous generations that was more like nothing was documented, right? And then now that everything is documented, I think like Euphoria touched on this, but it was like, Sydney Sweeney's character was like, she assumed that everyone her age would have scandalous photos on the internet. And I think on some level, maybe that's healthy,
Mhm.
maybe. But the idea that like, don't worry about it, just move through life without having to worry about what people are thinking or what. Does that make sense? Because
yeah.
before, like there was no witness.
And I think
In my childhood, it was like we did whatever.
yeah.
You would have no idea.
And I think, for example, yes, we all like have develop inside the creative like environment or like the arts environment, and I think that environment is like yes more prone to say, yes, go follow your passions. But the thing that my parents, for example, realized is that there is no longer like a clear path. Like whenever I tell my parents that I want to go to film school, it's kind of like, well, yes, go do your thing. Because before it was kind of like, no, you have to like get this degree in order to get this other thing, in order to get a family and then a house and whatever. It was
Because
like
those jobs were like a guarantee.
yeah, but now nothing is guaranteed.
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
that's
That's
a lie.
a chat bot now.
It's
You
a
can-
chatbot.
you can do something or study something to have the guarantee of
Exactly.
success, and you can still fail.
But
So better try what you want to do,
and fail at it.
yeah,
You're
and fail
gonna
at
spend
it. Like,
all of your money in university anyway, then do it in something that you actually want
yeah,
to do.
just
So-
go for your passion. Go for your passion.
And I was speaking with Network about this like earlier too. Like whenever we thought of the future as like maybe we'll need to have this because it's gonna be this way, but now everything is like so unclear that we cannot plan. Let's say so much because you know, like a tragedy happens and we don't have a city anymore or
No,
things
'cause-
like that.
Yeah. Or also, I feel like everything nowadays feels like a big deal, or it can be a big deal. You know, like even the smallest embarrassment that you do on the internet, it's
Yeah.
gonna be there forever. First of all, that's a big deal in itself. I think so.
Mm.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
also like
Mhm.
everything can be either major news or just like you're exposed.
Mm.
So it can be a big deal even if it's only to you, but like it feels that everything is very
That's valid.
like slippery in a sense.
I think you can try different things, and you can like you kind of need to experiment, and that way you can flex in different areas. You can find out. Like if I didn't try different jobs, I would have never figured out. Like I was really good at identifying people's talents,
Right.
but I didn't. That wasn't the initial premise.
Mm.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if I didn't experiment, I wouldn't have landed on that. And so, when I think about it, my whole life I've been like, you're good at that, you're good at this, da 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 da.
Mm.
But you have to go through life and try different things to see what people are responding to. And that's my view. And I think Gen Z needs to like embrace that and not. I don't think. Have you noticed how hard it is to promote a movie? Like
Mhm.
movies come out and nobody even knows it's out.
Yes.
Yeah.
So why is Gen Z worried about somebody seeing something that they did, last year when it's like it's hard. Like we're having a
It
hard enough
feels
time to
so
get people
big.
out of right. But I think that's like maybe a lie that we tell ourselves.
Yeah, that's like the trap of
Not that you're not
self-awareness.
famous enough for people to pay attention,
No,
but
no.
more like, the idea of like when you go to a party or you go to an event, everyone's worried about how they look or how they're like, no one's really worried about you.
Mhm, mhm.
So I feel like, what do y'all think in the chat? I'd be curious, but this idea of like live freely, try different things. I don't know. I think in some level, everything's being documented anyway. So who cares? But what do y'all
Yeah.
think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything wrong with working at like, is if you're an artist, I think we project so much, or maybe the artist does it to themselves. I've experienced it. Or have you heard about these artists that just go for long stretches without working and they do something
Mhm.
completely radically different?
Mhm, mhm.
But it's like, it doesn't mean that that's a failure. It means that they're living life.
Yeah.
Because in some ways,
And I respect that.
life is inherently, private on some level,
Yes.
right? Some of those private moments.
Yeah. No, reinvention, I think it's oh my God.
Inevitable.
Inevitable or
Inevitable.
okay.
That was the
Like
my
Madonna,
tongue
like
wasn't rolling
just-
with the
Yeah.
inevitable.
Yeah.
Inevitable. There we go. Yeah, I think
Keith, you and me both.
transformation is just a part. Like I think what Gen Z is missing is that part of experiencing more of life and like figuring out what our place looks like in
Yeah.
this society and like how we are gonna move through it. Because I feel, but we're still very young. Like we're
Yeah.
still a very young generation, and I don't necessarily agree with the fact that we're adults and like well, I mean, of course adults, but like in a controlling way in society, like with a lot of power.
Mm.
I think
Right.
we're still like very behind in that sense. I definitely think that there's people in our generation with high level jobs and like
Yeah.
in positions of power, obviously, but I don't think it's necessarily the same amount.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
just, I feel like millennials and boomers are still controlling the whole like market in society.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
how
she
it
looks at
works.
me. No, I think
And the
I
whole market and things.
yeah. Well, I think there's an idea too where like it's hard to participate to try to make something better when inside of a broken system. Even if you're, it's kind of like, I get why some people like to make that point again, so that I can have a response to it, because I think it's an interesting point.
So change is inevitable, and
Right.
we need our generation needs to live through more years in our lives to actually figure out what our place looks like in this society nowadays, that it's already formed and
Right.
ready for us. Because I think we're lacking a lot of experience in a lot of ways, and that's just like because we're very young.
Yeah.
We've been around too little to actually
And
understand.
and I think that that's also because we're in the age of figuring out what we want to do and what we can contribute to the world. So we also have the fear of messing it up.
Yeah.
For society and for us. So I think we need to be encouraged to explore, do things, try things,
And fail
Right.
too.
and fail. Yeah. Fail fast.
That's what I
the
would
thing
say
that
here.
we keep saying here, like just failing fast is better than failing later or not failing at all.
Right. Well, I think like the worst thing you can do is nothing.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think in some ways it's like this is a way for like us to show up and like interact with reality, because have you ever noticed, like, if you're just like alone with yourself? I love what you said earlier, is that I disagree with me being an adult right now in the world as it is. I'm like, that is a very fair thing to disagree with. And maybe to someone else that sounds crazy, but it actually makes a lot of sense. Like, I fundamentally disagree with all of it.
Yeah.
That idea.
And it comes from like honestly, just my reasoning behind that is just the development of the brain. Like, no, I mean, for real, our frontal lobe doesn't end up developing until like you're 25 or 26 years old.
Right.
And the fact that we're all classified as an adult at 18 or 19 years old, it's basically a symptom from like World War I and II. Like, they needed to draft people as young as possible for them to be strong and agile.
Oh,
and
good point. So you're talking about why, like, how they consider someone an adult.
Yes.
Okay, go back into that, because that's a really good point.
Yeah. So it's like this past things formed what now we would consider the age appropriate for an adult to be considered. And I think we should take 3 steps back and analyze if that's an actual thing that, well, I mean, I think it serves society nowadays as well in different ways, like economical and political ways. I don't necessarily agree of the fact of me as a 21-year-old being a full adult. Like, I mean, in society I am, but probably my development and brain, I'm far away from actually being conscious of all like the rationalities of my own brain.
Right.
Nevertheless, like how to rationalize a world that no one even understands.
Yeah.
So.
I think I don't like to always be like AI, but I do think that is the thing that's, because what happens is, and Mark and I have talked about this before, but this idea that each generation, like, you realize that you can't compete with the people who are already in power. So what you have to do is you can't. So the only way to win is to reinvent the game. And that's always been like, the internet did that. Like, the Industrial Revolution did that.
Yeah.
And AI is kind of doing that. So it's kind of like you pull out the rug underneath the older generation. So it's like, you know that those people are never going to relinquish power.
Catch up, yeah.
So the only way that you can beat them is by reinventing the entire game. I mean, isn't that kind of mind-blowing? Like, that idea? I mean, it makes sense though.
Yeah, but while it's being reinvented, how are you then like gonna take a position of power? Because like none of us can reinvent the game, first of all, alone.
On an individual level.
And secondly, like, how are we, because we all have different perspectives on how the world should be fixed. And so it also like, I don't know, I think it's correlated, the people that have power, like had power before, and the people that have power now. I think it's like just like a butterfly effect thing. So it doesn't necessarily divide the power unless it's like a complete, like the Industrial Revolution. I think that was like a complete swipe out. But I don't think AI will be the same way, because I think AI is competing for the other team, like the team power, the people in
Mhm.
charge, and the people with the economical sustain to actually move and change the world.
'Cause I
Other
mean-
than
I think
us.
it's up for debate. I get it. I think it's like any new tool.
'Cause
It's like, it's like the bomb. Will it save us or destroy us?
'Cause
You know,
all
can it
man
end a
is
war or
like-
start a new one?
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not here to defend anything because
Right.
I think anything is like a tool. It can be used as a weapon or it can be used to build. Like it's like a brick. It can be used to
Yeah.
sink a
I don't
dead
wanna
body
build
or
anything with
build a
it.
house,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Just a simple brick can be used in that way. And that was what they taught me as a kid.
Yeah.
And then it, morphed into a Lady Gaga song later. She's like, at the beginning of like one of her songs, she says that she's like, a brick can sink a dead body or build a house.
Mhm.
And so it's like, how do you want to use that brick?
Yeah. True.
Mario, you were making a point.
I think I was just gonna say that I like Mark Sand's point that he made like a couple of comments ago, because he says we all need to work together. In my opinion, my job encompasses many generations, and the new learn from the old. So I think that's kind of like the ideal world that we should be living in. Just us learning from each other, and also like the older generations learning from like the younger ones, because there's a lot of knowledge there too, and there's like even just how to adapt to the new things, because as you were saying, yes, it's like you can change the game, but I think like the reason that they don't necessarily adapt to it is because they don't catch up essentially. So just by exchanging the knowledge, we can catch up. Maybe like we all can catch up, and yeah, just the idea of generations working together and like people in general working together. Because I agree with Andre. Yes, I still feel like I have a lot to learn, and we will never learn everything. But at the same time, it's kind of like how can we learn if the older generations or the wiser generations look at us with I don't know, contempt, or
Well,
Yeah.
because I think to break a cycle, you need to walk the cycle a few times.
Mhm.
Right.
So, like as you were saying, we need to learn from the other generations, that the other generations from us, so that we can see the full circle and like and find a center to spread
Yeah.
apart from it. Yeah, because if not, then we're just gonna keep fighting, and you don't necessarily need to learn anything from your like elders or the people with more
Mhm.
experience than you. You can also just like turn to disagreement immediately.
Right.
So I think it needs to be like both ways.
Yeah,
we
exactly.
both need
There needs to be a balance.
yeah, to see each other, like to
Exactly.
actually acknowledge
Yeah.
you had your things, you have your own generational traumas, and it's okay, and we know how it works and why it happened somehow. Now it's our turn to figure out.
Yeah, like going back to the idea of generational traumas, yes, that also allows us to identify like what we can do to fix it.
So one of the things that like boomers had to deal with, and I think it's important for us to like, acknowledge that everybody had to go through some kind of trauma. So like boomers had to deal with post-war war, like either prosperity or the instability that came with that.
Yeah.
Depending on their background, the Cold War with the USSR and the West, the civil rights struggles, like changing
Right.
like hierarchies. There used to be like really strict hierarchies in families. Like there was the patriarch, the matriarch, this idea.
Feminists.
Yeah, like the wave of feminism that came in, and then just very different workplace expectations. Like the way you compose yourself in
Mhm.
society was dramatically different than it is now.
Right.
And so I think boomers are living in a world that's on some level unrecognizable. And it makes sense to be like, it makes sense that they wouldn't recognize this world because it's like, that's not the world that they grew up in.
Yeah.
No.
Definitely.
And so, and then Gen X, they were the kids of divorce. Like that was like the generation, like all their parents got divorced. And so Gen X was dealing with that, like the radical normalization of divorce. Growing up at home with your parents being, working a long shift. So it's like the idea where you could just like, the key was under the mat and you let yourself in. That was a normal thing. Just that was when the cynicism, against these institutions really started to creep in. The Gen Z is definitely like, it's just like a part of the culture.
Mhm.
This cynicism that like, I don't trust the system. That started with Gen X because the boomers kind of built it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Whereas Gen X sort of don't really trust it.
Mhm.
And the millennials, That was like the 9/11 situation, you know, kids were,
Right.
you know, and the internet just coming up to full force.
Yeah.
And then your generation, it's there's this
A
constant.
strange definition.
Well, I mean, that's interesting. I mean, because it's like you have these cultural defining moments, and I think the
Right.
big flu was one of the big ones for you. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way to pretend that didn't affect you,
Mhm.
but it also affected the institutions that we live inside of,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, with the way that you explained it, I thought of it as like the boomers walking the path that they like others created, like
Mhm.
just without thinking it, and then Gen X and millennials going back that path, and us being like, you know what, let's forget this path, let's turn this way.
Right, but then like are you
But it
out in the
landed us in the
wilderness?
same place.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you have to like lay the path. I do think boomers, like
Right.
their parents, you know, they were called. You know why they're called boomers? Do you
No?
know the reason why?
Because it was the boom of babies
That's
after
right.
war.
After World War II,
Oh.
all these people came home.
I was gonna
All
say
these people
because
came
of
home.
bombs.
Not
They
because of
went
bombs.
Yeah.
No, it's called the baby boom. Because all these people had babies after
Yeah.
they came home from World War II.
Mhm.
So it was like all these families were separated. The men
Right.
were off at war. The women were at home. You had all these movements to get women into the factories. Da 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 da. Da. So when the men came home, all these women got pregnant and had babies, and so their children are the baby boomers. So
Right.
you know their identity is like wrapped up in like when they were born, and obviously
Post-war.
all of ours are, but it
Mhm.
was a very unique time in history.
Children of war. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So, you know, there was a lot of post-war prosperity, but then for
Yeah.
some people, that was like the beginnings of like a dramatically unequal world. You know,
Yeah.
depending on where you lived and what your experiences were.
Geographically, it changed dramatically as
Right.
well.
What do your parents identify as in terms of generation? Do they ever say like I'm this or I'm that? Some people like wholesale reject like being called a boomer or a Gen Xer or a millennial. But do your parents identify with one of these?
Not explicitly.
Oh my god, yeah, I've
Like-
never.
Just today I searched like what generation were my parents. I think they're X.
Yeah.
But they don't like specifically say to us like, oh, this is because I'm this thing. And I think that's a very
No.
you're
Yeah.
right.
I don't think
But
that.
but I was gonna say that I feel like that even is the thing that is like Gen Z, let's say, like defining
Or millennial.
Uh-huh.
generations and like because yes, I mean
groups.
we obviously have like some things in common, but at the same time, like defining something can be limiting, you know. So
Yeah.
Absolutely.
we try to like explain our behavior based on like, oh, I'm Gen Z, but at the same time, it's kind of like, well, we all not all equal,
Yeah.
not equal, but like you know,
We're all equal.
we're all equal.
Right.
I was gonna, you know, you got me.
Are you saying that because you're a man and I'm a woman?
No, but yeah, I don't think that for example my parents' generation defines themselves with that type of enclosement,
Tag?
you know,
Right.
like tag. Yeah,
It can imply stereotypes, but it's
Yeah.
not intended to. It's like to help understand the other
Exactly.
person, but it can lead to stereotypes, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
Like you can be like,
definitely.
oh, what war were you in? You know, when you're
Mhm.
talking to like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was like when I was growing up, there was a joke that people used to say, like, you know, when we were dealing with our elders, they were in a war. Like they were in the
Mhm.
Korean War, or they were, you know, so there was like this expectation. This is the first time where it's like that joke doesn't really even work anymore.
Mhm.
There used to be
Yeah.
like when you're talking to older people, they'd like joke like, what war were you in? You know, whereas it's like there are people who are still alive who are in the Korean War or in,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
Vietnam, things like that. But this expectation of, you know, we all have different survival mechanisms to live inside of the culture. And I think there's sometimes we want to blame people for like why things are not manifesting in the way they are. But I think
Right.
it's because the whole system itself is changing. And that's
Mhm.
that's why like just walking through life in today's world feels like a negotiation with
Yes.
reality.
Could you repeat that again?
It feels like walking through life today feels like a negotiation with reality because like everyone, it's like so dramatically different, and I feel like on some level, like some people are fully aware of it and like and then other people are more like whatever, they're just kind of like getting shuffled around.
Right.
But it's like the world is so dramatically different than the way
Yeah.
it was when I was growing up. I can only imagine how it is for people who are 30 or 40 years older than me,
Mhm.
Definitely.
Oh yeah.
right?
I feel through the lifetime of humanity, everyone has had their own reality because that's just how human brain and interactions work. But I think it was different. Like nowadays, I feel like we actually, like each one of us, live in their own reality.
Mhm.
a lot of it's like goes back to social media, like what how you view the world and what are you aware of and what you aren't. It's based basically on that. Like if you don't go outside of it, like if you don't bother reading any books or like watching other things or talking to other people that are very different from you or whatever it is, you're still just gonna consume the things that are close to you and are for you, because that's literally it. So
Margaret, what's your take on this? Because it seems like there's this, I feel like this is the, with social media, we use it to define ourselves or what we publish or what we post. But people who grew up outside of social media, it's like social media is not necessarily a part of our identity unless you choose to work in media, and in which case it is, and you're still kind of negotiating with it. You don't really want to do it, but you're like, even if you work in media, it's that way.
I think social media is very heavy for some people. Some people actually turn it into their lives, and in maybe not the most healthy way.
Tell me more.
For example, I don't think of myself as someone who is deep in the social media world. So I do feel like I have some sort of burden that I don't have that burden.
An encounter,
Exactly. Yeah. But I see that there are some people that actually they carry so much stress by living in this world, and it's there are so many things. There are so many things in life outside of the phone or the computer.
Absolutely.
And it definitely helps you to grow. It helps you as a human, as a living experience. Connecting more with yourself and more with the world that surrounds you, instead of actually just looking at what is going on social media. Likes are not that important.
Absolutely.
No, so absolutely. That's a good point. But so like your generation is the first had to grow up with the idea of likes and
with that anxiety.
And we are struggling with that, because the generation of my parents, they don't care about likes.
Right. Like if one person liked their vote, like their post, it's like you aren't trying to compete with anybody anyway.
Yeah. No. Never.
But your generation, it's like you're actively competing. You're also competing against advertisers, not just your own peer group.
Oh, absolutely. That's
have you noticed that
competition, I guess.
It's your biggest competition is advertisers. But go on, because that's been the biggest transition for me with Facebook. Because before it was about reconnecting with the people from your school, and then it became, that was literally the function. It was Facebook about like Harvard College, and then it became that way it was only available to college students, and then it was available to the wider public.
And it was a tool for connection. It was a tool that we were using. Well, not me. I was not using it, but
I am lying.
But people used it to connect with other people. And I think they used it. Of course, there were things that people didn't use it in the best way possible, but at the end of the day, it didn't do that much of a harm. And right now, with everything that we have, TikTok, Instagram, all of the social medias that we have,
No. I got excited.
I think we have created this whole world. And we've given the importance as a living experience, as a collective experience, things that other generations didn't have, and they didn't care about it.
So even if you're a person that doesn't engage in social media with like posting or just being a presence in the social media world, like you are, it's like you're still a part of it, because you still consume like reels and you're still aware of what's going on at that social media like platform.
Just the way we're shaped by media. For example, people who are watching, like this means yes in Mexico. This means yes. Don't you find that interesting? It's a very culturally, but again, that's defined by media, but it just wasn't social media. But now we've transitioned where social media is so prevalent and so everywhere that now social media is actually bigger than traditional media. So now it's just all media.
Yeah.
And that's been something that we've all like been a big pill that we've all had to swallow.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But we've all been shaped by social media in some way, shape, or form, even if we're not interacting with it. That in itself is like a lifestyle choice,
Mhm.
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah, and it's definitive. Even if you choose to engage or
Yeah.
if you choose not to, it's still like a position of that you're taking, and it feels like
Yeah.
very determined.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's a sense that you're taking. And Nyberg was saying, I've seen some Gen Z for a while were deleting their IG account, only one photo, and that was it. That's me. I only have like one picture.
Yeah.
And it's interesting.
It's a burden. I have to promote this show on IG. Like today, I'm like, okay, finally, like I'm gonna do it. But it's
Yeah.
like, why am I negotiating with it? But it's because it's like every new platform. It's like, oh my god, really?
Yeah.
I mean, even like TikTok, I was like, why? You
Because
know,
now it forces you to engage in those type of things if you
Mhm.
really want to continue with the thing that you're creating. Like it just
they don't
that's
promote
why
your
we all
stuff
need
unless
to
you interact
swallow
with
it.
other people. Like you
Mhm.
can't just go onto a platform and just dump content.
Mhm.
You have to be on that platform and actively using it. Have you noticed that?
And
Yeah.
kind of like be educated on it as well, because depending on the platform,
It's like-
it's the type. Depending on the platform is the type of content that you're gonna be creating and how you're gonna adapt to that platform as well. Like
Right.
even in the slightest, like there's changes from TikTok or Instagram. It's just like
Yeah.
those different things trying to like. It forces you to morph the thing that you're doing, whatever it is. If it's only you posting a picture of your food or your family or whatever,
Yeah.
like changes the way that you approach it.
Every app is its own world. And
Yeah.
you need to understand it.
Yeah.
You need to understand what works in which app.
Because it becomes a cultural thing, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I remember in the early days of like with Facebook, I remember like, wow, like everything that happens, like now I have to have like an angle on it. It's like, I
Yeah.
couldn't just be like, this happened. It was like, what's my angle?
Mhm.
Like, how do I frame this thing that happened to me?
Yeah.
And it's just like a very basic thing. So it's like everything, it kind of implied to some extent performance. It was
Right.
like this idea that it had to be like, oh, like how do I put this inside of a container? Like, is this, because if it's too boring, it's like I have to like make it like, a positive or negative. It can't just be neutral. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, because
Like there's no one posts. It's like, oh, everything's the same. Like, it has to show like a net positive
has
or
to be
net
wrapped
negative.
in like an opinion.
And I
strong
think
enough to
and I
drive
think
it.
our generation is trying to like battle that a little bit. Like we're challenging that because we're also like saying, no, I just want to post this maybe.
Right.
But like the fact that you have to have like an angle or a way to say it, it's kind of like a thing of social media too.
And I think I remember when the cancel culture became such a big thing.
Yeah.
And suddenly you saw everyone being scared of uploading things to the
Yeah.
internet.
Of being canceled.
Yeah. You thought about it so much.
Yeah.
Like, am
this
I
gonna
doing the right thing?
trigger
Am
someone?
I not?
Right.
Is this a good thing to
Yeah.
post?
Am I gonna get burned?
Right.
Am I gonna get too much attention from this?
Yeah.
Right.
So I think some people are definitely battling that.
Yeah.
We're trying to get a little bit away from that and just relax and
Yeah. Because I think
That's a good point.
a
Like
lot of-
relax, like social media, it gives us anxiety.
a lot of anxiety.
Right?
A
Like
lot of
I
Because
anxiety.
feel
before
it.
it was so comforting before because it was like, oh wow, before I used to have to like sit with these thoughts and like I couldn't tell anyone.
Yeah.
But now it's there's this idea where it's a marketplace.
Mhm.
It's not really just about sharing anymore.
Yeah.
Say what you were gonna say.
right. I don't know what I was gonna say.
I think it was about like social media. Like my next thing is about
Yeah.
families. We're talking
No.
about families.
that it does give me anxiety. Like I think Gen Z walks through the path and like alongside of it as well, because we do those different things of being like, I'm just gonna post this because I want to post, but we're all aware of the like the guidelines and the parameters that are imposed onto social media. Because for example, now with being an actor, like I was never a social media person. I posted like what I really wanted to post because I thought it was
Mhm.
cool and that was
Mhm.
it. It was basically like collages and art and everything.
How
But with
naive of
this-
you. No, I'm kidding. No, I mean, because it's like you treat it as a pure thing. Like it's
Yeah.
for me to express myself.
Yeah, because
Right.
I didn't have a need to make anything from it because I wasn't interested and it didn't serve me for any purpose whatsoever because I wasn't,
Yeah.
engaging.
Right.
But with being an actor, it's frustrating to realize how important and how vital it can be to have an actual presence there.
Yeah.
As silly as it sounds, but
Nice.
It's
just,
real.
Mhm.
I think
it's
social
very
media,
real.
it's very real. And social media has it's kind of an equivalent for fame to an extent.
Yeah.
And for example, there are so many movies I can't tell you where it's like they all were like, we're hiring Anne Hathaway. Like it didn't matter what movie it was, they're like, it's Anne Hathaway because she was the
Mhm.
most popular
Yeah.
in terms of into box office. And right now we're seeing that with Zendaya.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but now they're they're using social media as like an indicator, right? But in some ways, it's still like that traditional fame is still very powerful. But I do think it's about the math of things,
Yeah.
right? Like with the Phantom of the Opera, like they really wanted Anne Hathaway, and then she was contractually obligated to go do The Princess Diaries too, let's say,
Yeah.
and so she had they had to hire someone else. So producers are trying to figure out how to grapple with like the collapse of traditional fame.
Yeah.
So the last people who have been able to get it are like Zendaya and Anne Hathaway, people that are
Mhm.
already like entering their 30s or Anne Hathaway's in her 40s.
Yeah.
But it's like creating these new stars feels harder and harder.
Yeah.
And that's why social media, it makes sense because it's like, okay, what do we think that we can rely on? Or where does the product end up?
Mhm.
As big as it feels, it can also feel very encouraging in the smaller scale as well. Because I mean, at the end of the day, thinking about you only got 200 views, that's 200 people that maybe just saw your face for 1 second, but they saw it.
Mhm.
So it makes this small things very grand, and this very grand things very small as well.
Yes.
Like everyone just you see so much talent and so much things and so much success and so much health and wellness, and it's just there's a very difficult way to like compare it, but everything is on a scale,
Mhm. Yeah.
so it's
Right.
it's very awkward to be there and not really know what you're doing, because
Yeah.
I feel that way. Like every time I post, it's like, well, I mean, this could do good or bad, or I mean, it's gonna serve me for something.
That was a phenomenon, posting something and then treating it like the box office, being like, how is it going to perform? Like that was not a concern in the early days of Facebook.
Right.
Right.
And I use Facebook as the example because that was the precursor to all. Before that, there was MySpace.
Yeah.
Have you heard of MySpace?
Yes.
That was like you had like your top friends. You had like your top 7 people.
Yeah.
And that was like a
Your
whole
close
thing,
friends.
right? And so it's like people would compete and who's going to be your top friends,
Mm.
right? So that was like a status thing kind of built
That's
into
cool.
And-
I want to play that game.
it. Yeah, and everybody was a friend with the creator, was just Tom. So
Mm.
Tom was everybody was like your first friend was Tom. So as soon as you joined the platform, you already had a friend, and it was Tom.
Oh.
Mm.
But I was there for all of it. So it's kind of crazy how we've come full circle. I think the most bizarre thing is about how like streaming services are really, if you think about it, kind of like they look very like social media.
Yes.
Right. That just reminded me. I don't
There's
know
a huge
why.
thunderstorm outside, you guys. Super
Right.
chats for the thunderstorm.
I don't know why
Yeah,
you
make
said
notes,
Tom?
Marco. Make notes. Feel free to make notes. So if you
Yeah,
see
yeah.
stuff and you're like, oh, that's a good point, or like I'm gonna check that movie out, or blah 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 blah. You can, we want you to get a lot from this.
I will check about psychologists. Definitely.
Yeah, like Sigmund
No,
Freud.
honestly, it's very valuable, like a very valuable subject. I was just telling Marco the other day that I enjoy watching a lot of like psychology YouTube videos.
Sure.
Mm.
It's I don't know. I think it's just very. It makes you understand yourself and like others and circumstances that feel very out of your control in a very different and simple way, in a sense.
Yeah.
Like it's okay. I get why you're acting the way you're acting.
Sorry, he's judging us, guys.
Yeah.
No.
I'm judging you specifically. I'm psychoanalyzing you every time that I come here.
Right.
I'm making a
It's
diagnosis.
good things.
All my post-its are like, okay, Mario is getting worse.
He's this.
He's losing
He's
it.
just losing it. Right. That's funny.
Mark Sands is recommending the movie Tombstone for you guys. Tombstone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, what
Um,
you were saying about
thank
the
you.
Tom being your first friend.
Oh, well,
And-
that was on MySpace. So it was like this idea of just basically kind of witnessing the evolution of social media and how even streaming services, you know, to someone like me, if you think about it, like everything has become a video site.
Yeah.
So everything's about swiping. So it's not really that different to me, social media from a streaming service.
Yeah.
So like, you know, there are logical steps. So like, what's the next logical step? Well, they're just going to start dumping the entire movies. They already are.
Mhm.
The entire movies are on YouTube,
Yeah.
right? That are dubbed in
Yeah.
Spanish.
On TikTok. You can get into a
Three-
page
three
and you can
minutes.
watch a whole
That's
movie.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, you know, one swipe at a time.
And I think it gets more engagement. Like I know people that have watched more movies on TikTok
It
than
does.
actual like.
It does.
Hey, no.
But are you watching it vertically? Like, is it just cropping all this
Yeah,
other stuff
you-
out?
The black space and then the middle and then the black.
Well,
That's
help me
horrifying.
understand. Help me
Not
understand.
even like horizontally.
But you lose all the experience of watching a movie.
Exactly.
You do that.
Yeah.
Exactly my point.
I
No.
think consumer preference is something that social media is teaching producers. So it's like we're having to interact with that and understand that in real time. Like, what does engagement look like?
But you know what? I think
Time.
because the time getting what you want right now, and that I think is a problem.
So Freud
For-
goes back to the id.
Mhm.
Keep going, but that's like
Yeah.
that's the first thing. Is like I want it and I want it now.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Go on.
And for example, TikTok is swiping 20-second video, less 10-second video.
Yeah.
And then you see I don't know, you watch a movie that you would call a slow movie,
Mhm.
and
Or lengthy.
yeah, lengthy, and it's you get you get anxiety.
You
like
get
what,
frustrated.
when is this gonna start? What?
Yes.
So I think we're facing some sort of new way of engaging with television,
There are these
media in
jokes-
general.
Exactly. There are these jokes where now you have to put like another video on the screen.
Yeah.
Just so you have like attention.
Mhm.
The subway surfer.
Right.
Yeah, so
Okay, don't you think that's very frightening that we've gotten that to that point where just so that people listen to you, you have to put something on screen? That's
Absolutely. 'Cause-
what is that about?
Yeah, I know what
Help
it's
me
about.
understand.
Well, I have
Yeah, hit the buzzers, hit the golden buzzer, you guys.
No, because I think engagement nowadays it's measured in time, like the time, the amount of time that the audience is watching, and it can be like so far from like 1 second, 2 seconds, or the whole 3 minutes that you're posting, the whole movie,
Mhm.
The whole 3 minutes, my God.
a whole 3 minutes, you guys.
That's so long.
When I'm clipping this,
You
I have
gotta
to
push
clip
through.
6 hours into like 30 seconds. But so it's like you can only clip pieces of the conversation.
Right.
But it just shows like part of this is to prove that we can still have those conversations.
Mm.
Because I think that it's scary if we can't,
Yeah.
right? Because you're sitting with
Very
yourself
scary.
every hour of the day anyway.
we need to.
No,
Right.
and because also like the amount of engagement that you're gonna have with a piece of media is gonna be directly correlated to the amount of dopamine that your brain is receiving from that piece of media. So having somebody talk to you about, I don't know, like a flash news thing or like a big deal that's going on, and then like down below just having a Subway Surfers preface of somebody playing,
Mhm.
it just proves the fact that now video is not enough. Now you need to have constant stimulus from different things and different ways to keep you engaged, and that's a very difficult thing to battle from, like after. Because I felt it when I left TikTok, and it's been like a year and a half now. And
And now for
I'm
those people
you
sober,
don't
guys.
exist.
I'm sober.
That's rehab. Yeah.
Congratulations.
You guys
Thank
super
you.
chat for
Thank you
her
so
TikTok
much.
sobriety. So was that difficult
I'm
for you?
free.
Did you get off TikTok for your own like mental health? Like because I think that's a legitimate reason to get off of some of these sites.
Yeah.
It wasn't directly mental health, but it was affecting me directly, and I wasn't noticing because it did give me a lot of anxiety, and like it pushed me to be scrolling in my bed, you know, and I hated that feeling
Yeah.
of realizing that 2 hours or 3 hours have gone by and you have done nothing, and then you can recall 3 videos that you watched in those 3 hours, and it's like, how did I get here?
That's
So I felt
Your
like
brain dead.
yeah.
And
No,
then-
exactly.
Is that where
How I-
brain rot? I mean, isn't TikTok
Yeah.
like essentially brain rot?
Yeah, because
It's-
you go to disconnect. Like I see people do it on the streets or having a conversation whenever they disengage or there comes to a time where everyone just turns to their phone and starts scrolling
Mhm.
because it's like the downgrading of the whole chaos of
Mm.
just existing and being social. Hi.
Hello.
Hi. You guys, I'm getting brought a smoothie because I'm so hungry. I'm about to be starved.
Smoothie and everything.
But I think Ellen DeGeneres used to joke about this way before y'all were even born. She would say like, "There's, you can't even watch the news anymore. There's a poll on screen. They're saying call in now," and you're like, "No, I disagree. Like this
Yeah.
idea that it was already becoming unmanageable in the 90s, like with cable
Damn.
television. It was all like CNN, like the arrival of the 24-hour news cycle. That was revolutionary.
Yeah.
But it also came with consequences, and it's kind of what you're describing. This thing where it was like, and she was like, they might as well just have a banner that goes around and says everything's getting worse. I mean, right?
Right.
I kind of feel that way.
Everything is on fire. Let's all shout.
Right. But I think there's some, it's a good special. So if you haven't seen Ellen DeGeneres' special, the beginning, and then the other one's called Here and Now. The beginning and Here and Now, I highly recommend. If you guys haven't seen those, they're on YouTube. They're so old they don't care about the licensing anymore, so it's just up on some random person's site. But the rise of the 24-hour news cycle was the beginning of this.
Right.
But I think this also has to do with how we engage with our families. What did disagreement look like in your houses growing up? Like, how do people disagree? What is disagreement? How does it become manifest?
Oh,
Oh, this is therapy.
Yeah, this is therapy, guys.
Be honest, you guys.
well, I'll start. I'll throw myself into the bus.
Let me
No.
expose my parents.
Yeah. You go ahead. No, for me, it was just like conflict was never really welcomed in my household.
Mm.
Like whenever there was something being risen
Uh-huh.
to the surface,
Mhm.
would be like just we would walk around it instead of towards it, and it's always been like a mechanism or dynamic in my household to be like, how do you say evitar?
Like avoid.
Avoid.
Yeah,
Mhm.
avoid.
To avoid at all circumstances that
Mhm.
Like avoid at all
might
costs.
incite conflict.
Mm.
So like that's one of the things that I keep replicating as well.
Mm. Oh, like avoiding.
Avoiding conflict at all
Mm.
costs. Like I rather morph myself into an uncomfortable thing and situation rather than confronting people, and that can be very
It can be tricky because I'm the same way.
it can be tricky.
So I know
In
what
your
you're talking
household,
about.
go on, Mara. Say your
No, sorry. I was just saying, like, I know what you're talking about because
Yeah.
I'm the same way.
It's awful to be avoidant because you also realize when you're avoiding, and it's a thing that I recognize, and it's a pattern that I do want to break, but it takes so much like bravery inside of me.
It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought of myself that way. I used to avoid conflict a lot.
Mm.
It made me very uncomfortable.
Mhm.
But I've been working very hard to
Fight
actually
people.
yeah.
To fight everyone.
No, just kidding.
You've been working really hard
Right,
to
right.
like speak your truth
Yeah.
to your experience.
Yeah. And that is one of the challenges that I had when I went to Canada.
Mm.
I noticed that I started doing that, and it started becoming it became easier for me to start actually engaging in the conflict. Of course, in a healthy way. It's not about
Right.
like just yelling at the other person.
Just coming in with another conflict.
But yeah, I've gone better at it. But I was definitely I avoided conflict a lot.
Mm.
A lot.
Yeah.
Because it's not even about fighting, it's just about talking things, sometimes it feels
Mhm.
like it's a big thing to just talk, but for me it was quite the opposite, because I the way my family would kind of like operate it was that they would fight, like families fight, but then everything would be like normal again, and that wasn't clicking on my brain. It's like
That's confusing.
right, it's kind of
Say
like,
that last point again.
yeah, because my family, like the way of like resolving conflict was by fighting, like families fight, not like crazy fights, but like just discussing things, and it was like confusing for me to later see that they were like normal about it, that they were reconciled. Because for me it was like that would have taken like longer for me to heal, let's say.
Right.
But for them, it was like, no, we're just like normal again. And I think that's a good thing to just like forget about the small things and like keep going.
Yes.
Whoa.
Whoa. I didn't mean to press it.
But that made me like wanting to avoid those conflicts, let's say.
I think it has to have a balance.
Yeah.
Like you need to know when something is not that important.
Yeah.
To just let it go. And at the end of the day, I think you should let go.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how big it is.
Mm.
You should be able to forgive and yeah, let go, flow a little bit in life.
Yeah.
But there are some stuff that you need to talk about.
Yeah.
There are some things that you need to acknowledge.
Yeah.
And it's uncomfortable and it's not nice when you do it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mostly in relationships with people that you choose to have a relationship with,
Exactly.
because your parents,
Right.
I mean, they're your parents.
Yeah.
You've been
They're
living
given.
with, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you can avoid them and they're still gonna love you and you're
Mhm.
gonna love them.
Mm-hmm.
But when
I mean,
you choose,
it depends on who your parents are.
Yeah, of course.
Honestly,
Yeah,
it
sure.
really does. Telling you it does.
yeah.
Definitely.
They're
Sadly.
in relationship to what parents and children's, like the relationship that they have.
Right.
I mean, you're living in their house, depending, of course, what age you
Sure.
have, but you.
The situation being as well.
Yeah. They're okay. Yeah, sure. I guess
In
depending
general.
on anything,
Right.
they can
I
just
mean-
kick you out of the house.
Yeah.
But-
I mean, your points are still valid because obviously people have dramatically different. People can have dramatically different childhoods, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But go back to your original premise because you're making a good point.
I think. Well, first, you learn that on home.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the stuff that you learn in relationships comes from home.
Mm-hmm.
You learn it from your parents.
Right.
So
Don't learn.
or don't learn it from your parents.
Yeah.
But I think it's important for all of us to get a little bit in the uncomfortability of
Mhm.
the situations.
Yeah.
And so when you choose to have a relationship, either friends
Mhm.
or more intimate
Intimate.
relationship,
Mm-hmm.
you are able to be mature enough to actually talk about things,
Yes. Yeah.
even though they're uncomfortable.
Absolutely, and I think that's one of the main things that you need to work on as
Yeah.
you grow up. That's definitely one of the things that I work on myself the most, like
Yeah.
in every single way. Like it kind of like forms the my behavior and the
Mhm.
way that I relate to others, because I'm very like, I really want to not make you uncomfortable, you know, like I want to adjust to you.
Yeah.
And that also, like, that reminded me of in my house, like big feelings weren't
Mhm.
really allowed.
Mhm.
It wasn't like, don't be sad. At some point it did when I was 15.
Mhm.
But just like those big reactions and those big feelings weren't necessarily welcomed. And so it was like, okay, go take your time, have that feeling, and then come back. Which would sound like a nice thing to do, but then like you need to at some point acknowledge the fact that that feeling was felt for a reason,
Mhm.
not just the fact that you felt it and that's it. You know,
Yeah.
because one of the things that I felt that was very, like, it felt very, I don't know, very confusing as a kid to have this situation happen, for example, with my mom or with my brother or my dad, and then have this big feeling being like taking away from what was going on and then coming back and not acknowledging what happened.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because
That's a good point. So you're saying it's not enough just to say like go have your feelings and process them, but it's like acknowledging why the feelings were there in the first place.
yeah, because
Like-
the kid wants to understand. I mean, obviously the feeling, but the reason why as well. You know,
Right.
if I'm fighting with my brother and he took something that was mine and I felt this and this, then I want to understand why I need to share it, for example, or
Mhm.
why
Right.
it wasn't right that he hit me back. You know, like
Mhm.
you need to talk about the thing to understand and actually make a change about it. And if you just
Absolutely. Like we have
say-
to address these things.
yeah,
Otherwise,
like go calm down.
there's not a real lesson there.
Yeah.
Have y'all-
Exactly.
what happened in your house when you guys cried as a child? How did your parents deal with crying? That's my next question.
I think I've mentioned it here before, but I don't
don't cry.
remember my childhood.
You don't remember your
Yeah.
childhood?
I don't remember like up until I was like 13.
I
Oh my
mean,
God. Why?
I love,
Like,
I love, I
for
love,
me
I love
is- are
Marco's
that way as
response is
well.
like, my goodness. But I think there are a lot of people that are that way. It's like you have selective memory because it doesn't mean it was traumatic,
No, it
but it
wasn't.
can be traumatic.
Right. No, it wasn't, but yeah.
You know, and we never played the trauma Olympics here, like the victim Olympics,
No.
but I do think that some people deserve. But I think going back to your point, we do need to understand the why behind things.
Yes.
Because it's not enough just to say like, oh yeah, feel your feelings. You're allowed to feel your feelings. Well, yes, but like, how did you come to that feeling? You know,
Right,
because also you can
exactly.
find unhealthy patterns or find or what is a healthy pattern.
And it also is gonna make you understand your kid better, or the kid that you're approaching to, because
Right.
Mhm.
I mean, there's a lot of very instinctual responses that come from a kid. Like, there's nothing very rational behind their behavior, because they're
Mhm.
just figuring out, like, through their senses and their feelings, basically, because they don't have like a solid knowledge that they're gonna
Mhm.
walk on.
Mhm.
So it's important. Well, at least I think that it's important to explain to a kid, like, okay, if you're gonna say, hey, this is wrong, then also explain why is that, so the kid can comprehend, like,
Mhm.
it's not just wrong and that's it.
Mhm.
Like, I can't do it because I can't do
Right.
it. It's a way to actually make the pathological
Right.
connection to why it's wrong and why is it correct to do this or this
Mm.
in this certain circumstance.
You
Yeah.
make a good point, because it's like language or emotional learning, and that's part of what Freudian theory is.
Mhm.
But it's also just a fact. Like, you don't remember learning necessarily every word, or like how to speak in the
Yeah.
present tense or the past tense or the conditional tense. But you learn all these things over time because you're modeling based off of the people who are raising you or the
Mhm.
people in your environment. And so much of our behavior is it's coded over time. Like, we
Yeah.
receive
Yeah.
it, and it's not necessarily. So there are things that are never fully explained, but it becomes pathological, like the behavior
Mhm.
over time. Sometimes there's a behavior, and it's not necessarily directly tied to like a survival mechanism
Yeah.
that we're aware of in our conscious minds.
No,
Um,
and by
Or-
also
Experience. Like
Yeah.
if your mom tells you don't do that because you're gonna hit your head, and you keep
Mhm.
doing it until you hit your head, and then
Yeah.
you
You
don't
learn.
do it
You
anymore.
learn. Yeah.
yeah.
It was theory, and then now it's like learning the hard way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That idea.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's on every different thing. Were emotions discussed in your house?
Not really.
Yeah.
Discussed.
Like, did you talk about your feelings? Like,
Nope.
there are many people who are like, no, we never did.
Nope.
Yeah, you were gonna say something.
Go on.
I not at the beginning. It was not that common in my house, but my parents have informed themselves over the years,
Mm.
and yeah, I'm glad to say that I have a house where I am able to actually talk about the way that I feel, and I know how my parents feel. And so I think it's even an advantage in life.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Absolutely, because you don't necessarily have a chip on your shoulder about that. Like,
Yeah.
you don't feel like, oh gosh, I have to heal about, or I don't have, because some people have, it's, and which is I always have to validate people too, because I never want to, like, you don't want to encourage people to, addressing a wound, but at the same time, you can't, invalidate people, right? And be like, it didn't
Mhm.
happen, because that's like the worst thing. Because in
Yeah.
a way, what you're describing is, emotional validation,
Yeah.
right? This idea that, like, you were seen. But if you were not seen as a child, it's like, it's doubly invalidating when people invalidate that didn't happen. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I think you're right. It is a huge advantage, because it allows you, I think, ideally, to move through life without, some, let's say, drawbacks to your personality or to the way, how much you trust society.
Psyche.
Yeah.
Depends.
Yeah, and to have freedom in the way that you speak with
Mhm.
other people, the way that you interact with other persons.
Mhm.
I think if there is some sort of taboo subject in your family, and you grow up that way, then it's gonna be harder for you to address it,
Later.
even when you're an adult.
Yeah. for me in my house, weren't
Yeah.
like emotions weren't discussed. They were acknowledged to a certain level, but not really like they wouldn't necessarily engage in that emotion. And as I grew up, it was something that I kind of forced upon my family because I'm a very sentimental person, you know, like I have a lot of feelings and I love feeling them. Not all of them, but it's fun.
Yeah.
I think it's healthy to express your emotions, right? Like
Yeah.
it's,
definitely.
I mean, there are probably people that maybe overly do it to the point where, I mean, there are therapists who will tell you, right? Like there's a point where it's not healthy anymore because you're just
Tone it down.
repeating it. Right. But I do
Or
think,
feeding it.
right.
Yeah.
Like it becomes ruminating, right?
Right.
If you feel something repeatedly, then you're just like ruminating versus like expressing it and then like moving on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But but your family, you're like, because I think that's the fear with certain families is that they don't allow you to feel your feelings because they're afraid that that's gonna like, you know, they think if you just avoid it, it'll go away.
Yeah, and it was a very hard thing to navigate through because okay, so I have been diagnosed with like a major depressive disorder.
Sure.
And I had like my first major episode when I was around 12 or 13. So I was very young. I obviously wasn't understanding what was going on, and I just felt this way that I felt so different and so sad, and like something changed drastically, and it felt like one day was this and then the other one was completely different, and
Right.
not being able to like, with not having a past where I used to like talk about my feelings or could or felt that I had like the space and the time,
Right.
was so hard to navigate. Because also like, how was I gonna explain for the first time my feelings to, I don't know, my mom, if I had never explained like the most simple feeling of it all, you know? So it was, and my parents were also like very in a big denial of me being in that state. Like they weren't.
It's scary for I think it's scary for parents to accept, because once but that's the first step to solving anything is acknowledging that there is a problem.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, they think if you just ignore it, it'll go away. And I think that's so flawed.
So that's
but it's you know, deny till you die. I mean, that's what I was taught as a kid. Like
There's no purpose
Right.
to deny something that is already going on, and that is like, I mean, once it's a reality and it affects the way you perceive and navigate the world in your own reality, it needs to be acknowledged to make a fix or to encourage it, depending on the situation that it is. And so like through the years, I've been in therapy for 6 years now. Like it's just a thing that I personally love and need for my day-to-day existence.
That's really good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
yeah, I love that. Very validating of
While I
you.
still can afford it, I'll use it.
Yeah.
And it has become like a thing that it's been implemented in my family dynamics, like talking more about how we actually feel and the things that worry us. And like, for example, my dad losing his job and him coming to me and like speaking about that was very like it took me back.
What's it, a role reversal situation?
Yeah, the role reversing, and also it was the first time that I heard my dad speak about his feelings in that way. You know, like, it was very
that week, that day, or it was like a day after. You looked shell shocked. Like you had this look where you're just like, have you ever had that, Marco, where you had an experience where it kind of left you? And I'm just saying that was my perception. Doesn't mean that's how you were feeling.
Yeah, I was taken aback, honestly.
Like, has anyone ever, you know, I've had like social, experiences where I'm like left like dumbfounded. But it doesn't mean that the experience was necessarily bad. It just means that like radically, like you didn't see it coming, or it was outside of your reality. Like one time I'm trying to think of an example. Like I was like in a marketplace and I just said, oh, like, what are you selling? And the person like flipped out on me because I was like a foreign person, and they had a trauma, something had happened to them in their past. And so they reenacted like the whole trauma like in front of me, but it was like had nothing to do with me at all.
Right.
And so you have to have like compassion for that. But it's interesting. It's like some things leave your, there's an expression, they leave your jaw on the floor because you're just like,
jaw dropped.
Yeah, but it's done. It could be good, bad. Have you had any of those experiences, or are you rarely surprised?
I will answer that. Just before I do, I wanted to say to Keith, I do encourage you to start the conversations. It's never too late.
Never.
never too late to grow your soul. And it just talking about that type of stuff, talking about your emotions, talking about your feelings, and being free about doing that, it relieves your soul. It really does.
It's going to lead you to a good place.
So it's never too late. Do it.
Do it.
Okay.
Do it now.
That's really good. And like we're here to heal each other, because through talking about things, you do get better. Like you do. And I think acknowledging that, like, you see what's working and it's like you want to share that, right? Like what's happening in your household, you're like, this is working. And doesn't mean that the other parent is going to respond to it, but it's like it's like forgiveness. You do it for you. You don't necessarily do it for the other person, because you're talking about just discussing things, right? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah. Talking about emotions, discussing the way you feel.
Right.
I think it's very important. I think it's one of the most important things that you can have as a person.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And honestly, like I as much as I avoid hard conversations, I love when I'm in them, you know, because it challenges a part of my brain. I was trying to get to the next
Speaking
part,
of
but
a part
I
of your
wasn't
brain,
getting the challenges.
Yeah, no, that's good.
I was like, wait a second.
Yeah, go for it.
It challenges a part of my brain that is like very, I don't know, like very determined, like very lined up to not like to avoid the conflict. So when I find myself in that situation, it's like, okay, now what can we do about this? And it's also very satisfying and gratifying when you get over like that hard conversation when it ends, and it's like,
you feel good.
We're good.
You genuinely feel good.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, okay, we're great. Like we can breathe again, and like this is nice. It wasn't a major deal, and it also tells your system that it's okay. You know, that conflict is gonna be there, and that you can do something with it, and it's not the end of the world.
And even in a way, it makes you proud of yourself.
Yeah.
You know, it gives you that feeling of, I did it. I'm able to do this.
It's like a release, an instant release of not keeping things inside, and like being in conflict with your own brain, or like dialogue, is so hard and so draining. Then if you're having like an inner dialogue of a conflict with another person, better just let it go.
Well, the more you don't speak about things, it's like these, like it's like rocks, like at the bottom of a pond, or like
it accumulates.
they just add up, and they just and over time you're like, why do I feel so exhausted all the time? It's because you're constantly negotiating with all these things that you never confronted.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have to confront things, and that way you can move past it. And that's why it feels so relieving when you finally confront the thing and you move past it. It's like, let's say your girlfriend cheats on you and you never talk about it. I mean, that's what happens in families. Sometimes the dad, has an affair and they never talk about it. And it's like, that's so bizarre, but I've heard that again and again.
And that's usually what leads to trauma too, like unspoken things. I do remember once I spoke with my best friend. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
And I spoke with my best friend, and she was like, I feel like you hate me. not like that, but it was like, what's going on between us? And I'm like, okay, yes, we're gonna have the conversation. And we had it, and it was like very air clearing, because it was like, oh, we can have these conversations. And I realized that with her, because it was like, yes, if we're best friends, it's gonna be, just like a thing where it's not gonna be it's not coming from like I hate you. It's coming like I love you, and that's why I tried to like fix the things, right?
Exactly.
And it was that thing that changed like my brain chemicals and like wiring.
It rewired.
Yeah, because
what was the event? Say the event again,
like
for anyone who's just not joining us.
Like just speaking with my best friend about like how we felt at the time. Because she was like, she was kind of like jealous for some reason, but that clearing up the air was like the thing that led us to like understand each other, and I was also like confused, because I felt the same way about her, but it was like unspoken until that point.
Right.
But once we spoke, it was like, yes, I mean, we're best friends for a reason, and we can have these conversations because of that.
Exactly. It makes relationships stronger and better, like if you can actually confront conflict together. Like, because conflict can be, you can unite in conflict, it can either you against me or us against this thing. And I always try to approach it that way as well. Like whenever I find myself in that conflict, it's like, okay, so we know that if the conflict is strictly related to me, then what can I do to fix it or like to understand it better so that I can find a way to get to a solution? But it's normally like in relationships, it's an external thing that you need to like work upon to or like towards to.
Yeah.
Right.
So like every time that I have a conflict with a friend or something and we have that conversation and it just like at the end it feels stronger because then it doesn't feel flaky, you know? It doesn't feel that you could touch on a subject and then everything is going to collapse. It feels more secure in
it's
a way.
safe. Yeah.
Have you ever opened up to someone and the relationship ended? And I think in some ways that is healing too, because you find out, okay, like, rejection is like redirection because it helps you understand like, okay, that person's not for me. I don't need, right? So I think people.
With casting.
Well,
rejection is redirection.
Well, I think Gen Z is like that movie Obsession. Like there's a big talk about like the fear of rejection, whereas I do think millennials and Gen X in particular, Gen X, it was like you were given, you're just going to be rejected, period. Like you're going to be rejected.
Why?
I think it was just something about that sliver of time for people that were born in that, because people that are Gen X, I hear again and again and again, this feeling like it was like there's definitely some trauma bonding going on there, but it's like this idea that it just what was happening in the culture, it just all aligned up.
Right.
For it just to be like he said, like Keith Peavy-House made a really good point. He said, Gen X, it was like you just literally had no one to talk to. It just like it was just the timing. Yep. And I think Gen Z, it's definitely the timing is perfect for you guys to be like the most sensitive generation. So I think some people are like highly traumatized while other people are getting all the care they need. Doesn't it feel like, do you know anyone who's highly traumatized, Marco, compared to you? And you're like, whoa, dude, you really need
a lot of people.
Therapy.
A lot of help.
Right.
So many people.
Right. But what, like, do you ever have any pieces of advice for them? Or do you recognize that maybe it's so hard to like, is it a bridge too far to even communicate with those people? Because some of those things, it's like, it's hard to even put into words.
The thing is,
like, it's hard to say how screwed up you are, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I love saying
but that's real, right?
Up you are.
Right. Because it's like, it's a behavior. Well, I mean, I think that's okay. I mean, I think that's a real thing because your behavior is built over time.
Most of my friends are so.
The thing is that is a complicated subject because I think you also need to understand when it's your when you should.
When it's your place.
Yeah, when it's your place to talk and give advice, because there are some people that will not appreciate what you have to say and will take it in a completely different intention of what you were giving.
Right.
And of course, I've talked to friends and people that I know, and I feel like through the years, they've been able to grow up in a sense, and it feels very nice because I find myself very surprised when I talk to them and I find out like, oh my God, wow, I can talk to you. Like
you actually got better.
Yeah.
You were like, I thought you were screwed up for life.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a real
I thought
thing.
you had no fix.
Well, I think that's a legitimate thing to feel when it feels like someone is so far away from like reality.
But I think you need to, in a way, they need to give you an opening for you to understand that they want to grow up in that sense, or they want to get better maybe, because there are some people that are just not gonna like for you to start telling them, hey man, I think you're very messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Like self-criticism.
Yeah. Of course, if it's someone that it's really important to you, you can force a little bit the conversation, but sometimes it's just not your place. And no one in the world is going to change unless they want to change.
Right.
It doesn't matter how many times you tell them, no one is going to change unless they genuinely want to.
I don't know. I'm really bad at not, I mean, with my friends especially, I tend to give out a lot of unsolicited advice, which I would say it's not unsolicited. It's just not very want to.
They did.
Moments
She's like, it's not unsolicited. It's just that they didn't
It's just
solicit
very
it.
imposed. It's just they don't want
It's
you
an
to.
interesting word.
They didn't know that they wanted to
Yeah,
hear
yeah,
it.
yeah.
That's
Just that
hilarious.
They
That's a
just,
good.
They just
They
didn't
didn't know they wanted it.
Yeah.
It's like you're like the
They needed
advertiser. It's
it,
like you
and I
convince
knew.
them inside the ad that they need it. Have you ever seen a commercial and you're like, I didn't know I had that problem, and now I have it, and I need the
I
solution.
didn't know I needed that
Right.
vacuum. Yeah.
That's
Me with
hilarious.
the Dyson? No.
No, but I think you make a good point because you can also make a good case for like why somebody needs healing
Yeah.
or why somebody needs to address a certain thing.
Because with my friends, it's like I love when my friends tell me a hard truth or something that
Mhm.
like I'm not seeing or something they disagree. Because it's like, oh,
Mhm.
okay.
Mhm.
So
Like the
it-
coming to terms with reality.
yeah,
I think
and
I think that's like a daily task. To,
like
do.
for example, let's put a silly example. Like
Sure.
if I had a partner and they were cheating on me, like I would want to know from my friends if they knew.
Absolutely.
Like
Y'all
I
tell
would
me.
rather them telling me like the hardest truth of it all than not telling me and letting me be in the like in my own reality, in my own thing.
Mhm.
And also with my own issues, you know, like I had a friend that once just came towards me and was like, this attitude that you're approaching the situation towards, like this is not the way that you're supposed to be doing the
Was
thing."
it a personal issue, or they were saying that your disposition is not
Yeah.
correct to solve the problem?
Yeah, I was just going through a lot of different things mentally, and I was in acting school still, and I had to manage like a lot of different things that were going on, and so I was very like hesitant towards anything and everything that I had to do. So I wasn't really enjoying or approaching my classes, for example, in the same way that I would be, and I remember there was this day that I was just very like saturated and very in my own head. And I responded to a situation of conflict that was arising in the class with a very like with a stubbornness that is not normal in me, and with also like a rejection that was very harsh. So my friend was like, "Hey, this is not you. This is not really nice that you're doing. So please, like, if you need to talk or if you need space, but like, please go ahead and have it, and then like just join back." And I
Yeah.
was like, "Right,
That's
I
Was
am
it is it
being
because
a
that go on?
No. I was just being a terrible person because I felt bad and I was very in my head, and it took my friend having to tell me, "Hey, you're being kind of not nice, you know."
You're giving
so-
chopped.
Mar-
You're being
Mar-
taught. That's not kind of chic.
Do you have, Margaret, are there any topics where you feel like I'm really hard on people in this area? Like, is there any area where it's like you don't have a lot of tolerance or space runway for it? Because you're like, okay, come on, like that's child stuff. Or is there any area of life where you don't have a lot of patience for people?
Oh my god.
Because you seem very healthy and like you have it together. And so I want to test you to like how much tolerance do
No,
you
don't
have
get
for
fooled.
those that don't. You know what I mean? And like because some people it's like, oh come on, get over it, be a man, or things like that. Like, I feel like sometimes we give people leeway because it's like, oh, I struggle with that, so I can understand it. But then in other areas, it's like, well, I didn't struggle with that, so why are you spending all day, crying about this thing?
Right.
Is there any area of your life where you feel like you don't have like maybe somewhat similar? I don't know. Maybe it was a situation where you weren't being sensitive enough. I don't know the exact, but I would assume that that's kind of the way relatively how much sensitivity we have when we approach certain topics is how we're perceived as like how kind we are. And when it comes to this thing,
Yeah.
I think I used to be like that. I used to be I think of it as I used to be on my own bubble.
Mhm.
And just life forced me to understand that things that you might find very silly or small for some people are very big. And it's all about perspective. It's all about life experiences, because you don't know what that person has been through and you don't know what they've lived.
Yeah.
So there is a reason why for them it's a big thing.
Yeah.
Right.
But one of the things that I find like when people give a lot of importance to this type of stuff, and I lose a little bit my patience, is when it comes to like public opinion. Other people liking you or disliking you and that type of stuff. When I find someone that gives a lot of importance to that type of stuff, I do get a little bit desperate. I do get a little bit like it just
Right.
it
Just get
doesn't
over
matter.
it.
Get over it.
Just get
Yeah.
over it. Yeah.
But
Like when someone says, when they were saying like, nobody liked my post, or
yeah, like or this person did this comment, or I don't know.
Or I'm not doing this because they'll think that, or
Yeah, or I don't know. I met this two people, and one of them he didn't like me at all, and
whereas to you would be like, who cares?
yeah, I don't stress that much about it. It's you cannot be liked by everyone, and
right.
it's okay. It's fine.
That's a good point. Like
Mhm.
literally, you're not going to be for everyone, and that's all right.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
Yeah, that's just a natural thing in life. For me, it took me like a very long time to realize that it didn't matter. And I, like through my childhood years, I was really focused on what people were saying about me, because it also influenced the amount of friends that I had as well.
Yeah.
And I moved around a lot. So I used to be the new kid in every single school that I got to. So being liked was a thing of survival as a kid, you know?
Yes.
Like,
Oh yeah.
I wanted to have friends and have fun at school, but then like as I grew up, especially when I entered high school, it was like, you know what, if you want to be my friend, cool, and if you don't, then I don't need you. Like I'm not gonna be
Yeah.
just hovering to have a friend or to have you like me, like that. But that was a change that took a lot of years, like because through high school I was still like, I had that mentality, but I was still fighting the feeling.
And you were a kid. I mean, who doesn't
Yeah.
want to have friends when they go to school?
Yeah.
How
It's
dare
not-
you
it's
want to
not
have
nice.
friends?
I know.
No, I think yeah. And what's going on with Gen Z? I know that there are a lot of things they've been turned into memes and jokes.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
we're coming to the end. But what do you think is going on with that? Is that a way? Is it a method of avoidance? Or is it a way to play with the culture, or is it a way of making everything ironic so that we don't have to deal with it?
I think it's that. I think it's like just a layer of the ironic thing
Detachment.
going on. Because as I was, I mean, my theory is that it's kind of like a shield that protects us from like vulnerability. I mean, I do recognize that we are vulnerable in some areas, or some people are in some areas, but at the same time, we're still like, like we still fear scrutiny. So it's kind of like I use this irony thing because it's kind of like I can say, oh, it was a joke, or oh, I was just like lolling, like joking.
Lolling. I love that.
So I feel like it's that way, and not only with memes, but with a lot of things, with like even fashion and things like that, like the things that we consume, although that word is like overused, but but like the things. I mean, the
I
things
think
like
we're using it enough.
Which word is overused?
Consumption. Or
Consumption.
consume.
Oh, I mean, I think it's a valid word, but I think maybe the idea of reducing everyone to consumer
Yeah,
can
exactly.
be.
Exactly.
But I get it what you're saying.
Yeah.
But even that can be like seen through the lens of irony. So I think it's part of like us shielding us from like whatever opinion everyone has. That's just my theory.
Yeah.
Or also like a way of saying it first. When you say something first before someone finds out,
Yeah.
but you already said it, so
Yeah.
so they cannot attack you with that.
Right.
Right.
I feel
It's
like
like you
that's
call yourself a loser, and so if someone else calls you a loser, well, yeah, I already know.
Exactly.
That
Right.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say that. I mean, I do agree with both of you, and I'm gonna give ourselves some grace, and also gonna say it's a way to process the thing.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of things that we use irony for, and a lot of them I think the majority is things that we don't necessarily understand or
Yeah.
kind of like don't really know how to approach. So by making it a joke, it seems less important, and it gives room for you to be wrong about it as well. Like it gives you an entitlement to be wrong and
Right.
not really like care because it's a joke. Like I didn't get the joke, or I got the joke. Like I was joking,
Yeah.
kind of like justifies, but it's also like a way to
Are
positive
there a lot of Gen Z
information.
comedians? I feel like most comedians are like
Mm.
over 30.
I was gonna say that I think that Gen Z humor is more like niche, quote unquote niche, in the sense
niche.
in the sense
It's
that
niche.
we,
Have y'all adopted that word? Like
Yeah.
the word niche,
I mean,
calling everything
I
niche.
use it a lot.
in the
No,
sense
me.
that is,
I don't know what niche
I'm
is.
different.
I'm different. I'm a bit different.
I'm not built like other people.
Right. Like just in the sense that we have like local jokes, like we have our own like internal humor within our close circle, I would say.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's like less of a general humor, consensus,
Mhm.
I would argue. And with memes, I see that because they started like as a universal thing, but they kind of shrink it into like the very close enclosed
Niche.
situation.
Like
They become very
communities
they're very unique, like to your friend group.
Yeah, or to a certain country or to a certain
culture. Or,
culture. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's less like a universal humor, and yeah, it's more like close.
Yeah, and I think I don't know why my brain related it to the fact that Gen Z also is known for like tags and
Mhm,
labels for a lot of things. Like as you were saying a few minutes ago, that like the Gen Z, when you asked if our parents knew if they were millennial or Gen X or if they mentioned it, I think that's a very like Gen Z behavior in terms of like tagging things,
Defining things.
defining things to
Right.
put it in somewhere that we can like track.
Yeah.
And I think it goes a little bit back to that.
Yeah, to the idea of labels even.
Even isn't delulu a label?
Yeah.
You're delulu. Have
You're
you used
being
that before?
delulu.
You're
No.
being delulu.
He's
He's like, I
different.
refuse to identify
I'm
with.
so different.
He doesn't post. He's not on social media.
I mean, Marco, do you feel like you're an outlier in your generation? Do you feel like you're like a unique person compared to your peer group?
No, I'm not that unique. But
He is different.
I mean, everyone is unique. To be clear, like everyone
Yeah.
is unique. But my point is, do you feel like you're consciously making choices that are different than your peers?
I don't think consciously. I just feel like in some stuff
within the nature.
within the nature of the generation.
I like how we can like. Well, it's so easy to start
lost my thought.
speaking in
He's
euphemistic terms.
delulu now.
Like he's like, I mean, this is like a marathon because I know it's a lot to. It's like boom, boom, boom. But I always tell them it's like a super advanced English class while also being like an emotional.
Yeah.
They can feel like, wow, that's So we're creating a space to talk about these
Yeah.
things.
No, this is
I was
amazing.
trying to say like in the nature of who you are.
Yeah, I guess I don't do it consciously, but I do feel like I don't fit a lot into certain groups of what my generation is. I already feel weird being an actor. Like, that's already so weird.
Good point.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm not on social media. I'm not a big fan of being on social media, on being that exposed. This is as exposed as I get.
Yeah, I mean that actually makes a lot of sense. I get both sides of that 100%. I think it's a completely valid stand. I think it's interesting that that's even a stance, right?
Yeah.
And when it comes to labels, like what we are saying right now, that we have put labels Gen Z, Gen X, come on, even for sexuality, we have all these labels. And I don't know. I guess I just live my life in confusion.
I love that.
And like you're paid
I
to
don't
be
have the
confused.
labels in my head.
Right.
We're all humans. We're
No, 'cause
all.
Is it
and
conscious?
you're also the type of person. You
No, sorry. Is it consciously like? Because you said it wasn't like
No,
a decision, right?
Yeah, I mean, maybe I took the decision of not of at one point in my life that I took the decision of being yeah, I guess I did. I guess I did took the decision of being the type of person that I am right now.
Right.
But right now it
feels natural.
Yeah, it just feels like I'm just going along with my generation. Whoever you are. Were you about to give me a compliment?
Yes, sorry. I
Not a compliment.
Sorry,
Definitely not a compliment, Marco.
What were you gonna say?
I mean, it is a compliment because it's the thing that I admire of you, but but you are a very easygoing person for like not every single thing, but the majority of stuff. Like you're very like on a whim, you know, like you're very experimental and like you don't need to plan ahead and you just go and do and are, and I feel like that also kind of like, I don't know, it forms how you communicate with the world, how it is nowadays.
And it can play in your favor, I think. I
Absolutely.
guess. Because
I
like
would be so powerful if I didn't care so much about the future and stuff.
right, like the easygoingness is kind of like something freeing too. Like thinking less of what the other person is going to think and just
Yeah, I do have my delulus.
All right, tell us your delulus.
I oh my god, therapy.
Free therapy though.
Yeah.
this is
Sorry.
Oh, wow. I guess I have been very stressed on trying to make the right decision with what comes next in my life.
Yeah.
I am completely lost. I do not know where to turn or what to do. And I've been feeling like that for a while. I've grabbed, I definitely have some behaviors that are not the most healthy behaviors for me. But in general, I try to live in a flowing state. I try to, what comes my way, and things happen for a reason. I mean, if there's one thing in life that you are never going to be able to control, is the change. Things are always going to change. So you need to just roll with it. It's impossible. You cannot hold on.
You cannot grasp that thing.
Yeah.
I also think this industry in particular, like all of the systems that we taught like your age group to like strive to be this or like obviously everyone lives in their own world, but it's like some of those things are being dismantled. So it's like you can still achieve that level of this, but it doesn't look like what it used to. Does that make sense? So I think it's like redefining what success looks like, or redefining what the original premise was. Have you ever talked about Hegel's thesis? Have you
Explain.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yes, Hegel's thesis is this idea that like you have the thing that you want, like it's like you want Brad Pitt's career. So you're like, I want this. This is what I want. This is the goal. And so you have a premise of what you think that looks like. But then like as you start to enter that industry and you make decisions, you start making compromises here. You have to do this. You have to do something over here that you don't necessarily agree with your ethics. And a lot of people use this superstar right now, like Ariana, as an example of like Hegel's thesis, because there's the thesis and then there's the antithesis, the opposite of that. It's not really the opposite. It's just like it's what it is. And then you try to find a way to reconcile both of those things, and that's called the synthesis.
Okay.
And that's true. Like no matter what you want to do, it's never exactly the way you think, but I think it's radically true for this generation. But because I think that everything that we used to know to be true has been like turned on its head. It feels that way.
Yeah.
Maybe that's true for every generation, but it feels especially true now. Maybe it's just because of my age, but I do think it's actually a real thing. Because I the more conversations I have with people, it's like I'm like the idea of even delulu. We didn't even use that word, delusional.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like it was a compliment. I feel like for millennials, whereas maybe with Gen Z, it's like I do see people say things. I'm like they want to do this thing. I'm like that thing doesn't even exist anymore.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I want to be, you know, blah blah blah, and I'm like, well, I mean, what that's going to look like, it's going to be just very different.
Yeah.
I guess.
Tell me your thoughts.
It also, again, I think it also goes back to social media. There are so many things that we idolize or think in a very beautiful way, how some people's lives are, or careers, or yeah, the way that the people share their lives on social media,
Mhm.
and you delulu yourself thinking that this is the first time that I've used that.
Yeah.
So much.
Honestly, it's the first time I have too.
You delulu yourself. Oh,
You delulu yourself
you lost your virginity.
thinking that is, I don't know, you make yourself a picture of how
Yeah.
this life is, and then you don't realize that maybe you have a better life. I don't
Yeah,
know, or you
yeah.
get to have that social status,
Mhm.
and you see all of the things that come behind
it,
that,
yeah.
and you realize that what you're seeing is not the reality. I think that is why our generation is having way more of that than other generations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it also, like, for me, it's something that I have to be thinking about a lot, and especially recently, that I need to be reminding myself, is the fact that there's a lot of different processes that you can go through, or there's different things that people do to get to the same place that you want to
Mhm.
get to, and understanding that there's not just like one path or one way to do it. And because it can feel I mean, everyone's trying to sell you something at the end of the day in social
Yeah.
media, so it's like,
We're
do it
not.
this way.
We're like the only people that are not selling anything. Like, there's no catch. So that's what
Right.
people like to
Yeah.
watch too.
We're
We're not
just
like,
It's only us.
yeah.
That's it.
Like, there's
having the
not.
conversation.
People are waiting for the sales pitch, and I'm like, oh, that's so sad. I'm like,
Mm.
no, there's nothing. There's no trick.
Yeah.
But go on. I think you were saying that we can all take different roads to get to the same destination or to where we want to
Exactly.
go.
Yeah, because it feels in social media you can kind of like catch a pattern or a loop of
Mhm.
people, like successful people, the people that you think of successful or that have like the outcome that you want to get to, have done it like a certain way. Everyone has their own path, but it feels like on social media, once you watch it, it feels like the truth,
Mhm.
like the ultimate truth.
Yeah.
And so you need to follow it that way, so you don't get lost, or that
'Cause
you
it's
actually get
visible.
the opportunity.
Mhm.
Because it's like a visible route.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
But you need to understand that there's a lot of, I need to understand that there's a lot of ways to get to that place that you want to get to, like not defining my own process or my own way or how my life is going on by comparing my life to other people's like process.
I think
'Cause-
gone. I think social media too, like the definition of it is changing, because I do think that there is like an audience for everything.
Yeah.
But I think that it's kind of like everybody used to conflate, and they still do. People that are my age and older, if they hear the word influencer, we immediately think of just these Instagram models.
Yeah.
And it's like, so if you use that word with people who are 40 and over, it's like all we think of is like these fake Instagram models, but it's
Mhm.
not, that word. So it's like, now it's like content creator, whatever the
Right.
word is. So there's this idea of what the brain goes to, but it's different for different people and what their situation is. And the more I interact with media, the more I'm like, like it is interesting. And there are habits that are very unhealthy and others that are healthy.
Yeah.
And the way we engage with it, it's kind of like anything. It's like cars. It's like they get you to where you're going, but they also kill thousands of people every hour.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know,
And it
it's
can
like
kill yourself.
right.
Mhm. Yeah.
Thank you, Keith. So what happens when one generation's definition of a virtue becomes another generation's definition of dysfunction? Like, do you guys think that's a thing? Like, for example, like let's say loyalty. Like, you used to work, like my parent, like my parents' generation, everything, you had to work at the same job your whole life. Whereas now it's like, oh my God, I would never.
Commitment.
Yeah, commitment. That is what I was gonna say. Thank you.
Does Gen Z struggle with commitment, or is it not seen as a necessity?
I think maybe we're more free, and
Okay.
we have maybe we give ourselves a little bit of more space to explore more stuff than other people from other generations who just commit to being an accountant, and that is what you do your entire life.
Right.
Mhm. I think for me, I would say yes, but in personal relationships, like specifically, but yeah, I think it's more like going back to the idea of, like not necessarily wanting to define yourself, maybe to put yourself into a box. I don't know, like just me trying to understand the logic behind it, because it's kind of like, I mean, I don't even know why I fear commitment in relationships. But it feels like you were saying, yes, like the virtues of a generation can be like seen as bad, quote unquote. on a different generation, you know. So I think there's something parts of that.
Does it scare you with the fear of commitment? Because it's a thing that, I mean, I'm not necessarily the most afraid of commitment. I like being committed. I like the feeling of being committed to something.
It's nice.
It can also be like very difficult to navigate, but I like it. So do you feel like a fear for like being too close to somebody, or like getting attached is the thing that, like, being too, like, what is
for me it's kind of like coming to a point where like that familiarity becomes like less defined, you know, like for me it's kind of like if I get to know this person and it's gonna be like so serious, then it's gonna come a point when I feel like I'm gonna realize like, oh, it's too serious, I'm leaving. You know, things like
But,
that.
like,
It's like isn't that bizarre? It's like, oh, the relationship's working, I'm out. Like, isn't that? I feel like that's a thing. Like, it's like actually what you're experiencing is the relationship working. But maybe that's why you're like, bye. Like, what is that?
And again, it's just in personal relationships. But I guess it's like I don't know. Maybe it's just like the fact that I also don't want to see myself at this age like with that type of, you know, pressure, let's say.
right? For me, it comes from a place of like, wow, I wasn't expecting that answer to come from me. Like
Epiphany.
It's yeah. I was like, whoa, girl, that's deep.
Right.
It comes from like abandonment. Whenever I feel like somebody gets too close too quickly, feels like they now know me, and they now like are very aware of who I am, and they now can choose to leave me in a very like personal way, you know. So becoming attached, and it's a nerve that I fight against, like in my interpersonal relationships as a whole, because I do feel whenever I feel very attached or like close to somebody, it tends to turn into like my anxiety turns it into feeling trapped. And so it's like before you abandon me, I'll abandon you, or before you hurt me,
that's
I'll
like one of the
hurt
most
you.
common responses
Kinda
to
like that
intimacy
being
actually
common,
is like people kind of run away from it.
Yeah.
But again,
We're
that's
wrapping
trauma.
at 8, like so we got 8 more minutes.
Which
So
is not good. I'm not saying I'm
No,
not trying
no.
to justify it in any way.
No, don't do it. Bad.
just-
No. But it is a real thing. Marco, have you ever been in a relationship where like the other person ran whenever you were starting to get like close because they, you know, and maybe you didn't know how to explain what was going on? Or have you stayed away from personal relationships like that altogether? Intimacy?
I think I've run.
Okay.
I've
I'm the runner.
I'm the runner.
Yeah. I mean, I was the runner for a long time.
But
I learned. I was like, the world's round. I like came back to where I started. I was like, whoa.
You're like,
I ran all the way around the world.
I can only run so far.
Yeah, I was like, you come back to yourself. You know,
Right.
it's like everywhere you go, there you'll be. I'm like, okay, wow.
Yeah.
you come back to the same spot.
Yeah.
Right. Until you learn the lesson. Hey.
They say that, and like in life, you'll keep repeating the same things over and over again until you learn that lesson, and then you can move on to the next.
Right.
Do you feel like there's a lesson in personal relationships or in intimacy, or do you feel like
Yeah, definitely. I feel like there's this fear of being seen as who you are. You know, I feel like at the beginning you always put a mask. You always you try to show the best version of yourself. And then it comes a point when you're gonna have to show not
The true version.
not that so nice side of you.
Yeah.
And I think it's the fear of rejection when you get to show that, because I mean, if you care about the person, you don't want them to go away from you.
Right.
Yeah.
So you do it first.
So you leave.
So you run.
So
Pee-
you-
pee-
To the
house.
other side of the world if you
Don't do
can.
that.
No, that's a good. I
Don't do
mean,
that
that's a
people.
good point. I will say, like, yeah, it's what you're saying is very real, and I think it's really important for young people to recognize that it's actually a human behavior. It's very common.
Yeah.
This idea
It
of,
is.
but I think you have to like learn to just be rejected, and like be rejected is like it is what it is. It's like that is okay. Just live in that rejection, because in some ways it's like today, like I normally shave and I do and I was doing this stuff and I was like, oh, I don't care if I look chopped or whatever, because I'm like, I don't really care. I
You
really
look
don't.
kind of chic.
You like it? But it was interesting because, you know, every single day, like there's so many little micro decisions, small things, very small little things. And it's like, you know, how much of what you're doing is because of what you perceive. Because it's funny, because there are things that you might do or I might do, and it's like, no one likes it, Brent. Only you think you're, you know, only in your brain,
Yeah.
Right.
people like it. Like everyone likes the other thing, you know?
Yeah.
And so like rejection can help you kind of, you actually get a lot of information about rejection, right? But people don't realize that if everyone's radically accepting you, you don't really learn a lot. You just keep doing what you're doing. But through rejection, that's raw information. That's raw data.
And that is the only way you learn if it is worth it, because if you get to show that and the other person doesn't reject it, then you know you're in the right place. If they do, then
they're telling you, I'm not for you, or I can't handle that truth, or whatever it may be.
And why would you want to be with that person if they cannot if they cannot handle it?
Right.
So
if you can't handle my brand of crazy, then you know. But I think that's what you were describing at the beginning of a relationship. It's like you hide all these things, and you're like, you pull out your crazy, you're like, this one, yeah, like what about this one over here, like, and then it's like,
crazy can you handle in one day?
Right. And then at the end, like you kind of get to the point where you're like, now I feel like I'd show my crazy up front just to scare all the people off immediately. You know what I mean? Whether it's personal, because it, you know, it scares people off. They can't go there. I mean, I did that with you, right? I mean, to some level, where I'm just not my crazy.
I'm not scared.
I'm not crazy, but I'm saying like I don't hide anything. It's all right there.
yeah,
Because I'm like, yeah, this is what's going on with me. Just FYI, like blah 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 blah. Because I feel like there's no real hiding anyway. It's all like in your mind, you know. So
you have constructed the idea of the way you think people perceive you.
Right. So you can't control it anyway. So just put it all out there.
And honestly, all the rejection that I've been through in my whole life, it has formed the version that I am today. And I wouldn't change it. Like honestly, the amount of rejection that I got as a kid just made me the funny adolescent that I was. You know, like, that's how I met friends in high school. Like all of that, all those things that just happened formed my sense of humor, my personality, the way that I wanted or not to engage with other people. Like it made me realize who I wanted to be friends with, or or not to be friends.
And going back vanilla, cookies and cream, or Rocky Road. This is for Keith Baby House. Keith, help us out with the super chat. So this is, what do y'all prefer in ice cream?
Rocky Road.
Vanilla, cookies or cream, or Rocky Road?
Cookies and cream.
Salted caramel.
No,
that is not there. That is not there.
That's not on the menu.
We have vanilla cookies and cream.
Oh, I was like, I don't care.
Mint with chocolate chips.
So there's three choices. Vanilla, cookies
I don't
and
really
cream.
enjoy any of the cookies and cream.
I like all of them, but I'm a vanilla guy.
I'll accept. I'll accept any kind of ice cream.
Yeah,
always.
I mean that's true. Like any ice cream is like
any ice cream is
delight.
always great ice cream. But Rocky Road is too chocolatey for me. Cookies and cream is too creamy for me, and vanilla is too boring.
I mean, I know vanilla is boring, but it's like a safe. Yeah,
vanilla is too vanilla.
Yeah, I mean it's like boring by design, but it's good.
But I love it. I mean,
he says the correct answer is cookies and cream.
Like
cookies and cream. Yes.
That's a good one. I mean, that was my first thought, but I was like, I definitely ate a lot of that. All right, you guys, we're going to finish out with talking about like compassion for other generations. And also, I think other generations need to have compassion for Gen Z. And I also don't think that all the Gen Z is the same thing. So I'm not delulu. Like I think Gen Z is very diverse among its group. But name one behavior from another generation that used to really irritate you, but now as you've gotten older, you realize that it was something that came from fear, survival, loss, or just experience.
When they tell you that you will understand it as you grow, that's true.
That is true, sadly.
The change for me, the change. My parents. My parents telling me that I cannot see my phone for more than an hour because I am gonna get cancer or something like that, and I get it because it was scary. All of the change of that technology was very scary for my parents and for their parents. insane. They used to write in the writing machines and typewriters. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And for me, I guess I grew up like this, not with this, but I definitely had technology. So I always saw it as something very normal. And now I am very scared of how I'm gonna be as a dad when my kids have their super Mac version of iPads with AI included and teleportation or something.
I think it's very it's very brave of you to even already be like declaring that you're going to be a dad. I think that's like a deep knowing of yourself.
Oh yeah, I want to be a dad.
Yeah. I mean, I do too, actually. I mean, I love kids. I love like seeing the development, and it's like there's something so inherently rewarding there. Mara, did Jimmy make you want to be a dad?
Yeah.
The Jimmy's, yeah. I mean,
I kind of wanted to be a dad before, but that reinforced it.
No, Jimmy. I get FOMO from not knowing Jimmy.
I know, right? All right, you guys name one thing. Yes, I mean, name one thing from your generation that you should stop blaming other generations for. One thing your generation should stop blaming other generations for. Like some people are like, so and so created this and da 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 da. Like, is there a point where
I think
some of it's justified.
We need to stop blaming like Gen X for like the financial burden that we're having right now. Because I mean, there's no way they could have avoided it. They were just another pawn in the system. Like they were just trying to navigate it as their own. You know, they had their own economical crisis going on in those like times, and it's not necessarily any generation's fault. You know, or at least I don't think it's necessarily that. I think it's just like the positions of power that were offered in that time and how things were like laid out for that generation. Because I think every generation has dealt with different cards with a lot of differences. And yeah, I mean, it's not my father's fault that he had a job that paid for a house when he was 24. And you'll never have a job at 24 that will pay for like the house that they have now.
No, well, we don't want to declare that because you could.
Actually,
you could. I mean, in theory, you could. Back. You could book a huge movie or a series, and you theoretically could. So we don't want to declare anything that we don't want, right?
I will take that back.
That's right.
Yes,
put it back.
That was not correct. That was not the thing.
Yeah, we're only putting out good stuff in the universe, but you make a good point. It's like it's not the norm. That
like the average of that happening is very low nowadays. So
yeah, it just looks very different too.
Yeah, and it's not their fault. I mean, they can only do so much about it.
That's a good point. Yeah, maybe I would say like religion and things like that. Like religion. I guess we're like thinking religion in a different way. I mean, like our generation is thinking religion in a different way, but I wouldn't blame like.
It shocks me when people talk to me about religion. Like I'm like part of the institution. I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
But people do, like young people, they'll be like make comments, and I'm like, not that they see me as like in a Catholic robe or like being a phase of the church, but it is interesting how some people are kind of indoctrinated online to think like weird thoughts. Like they're like, oh, like just because you're born in a certain year, they think that you have a belief system. It's like, no, I'm just as much of a victim of the from the church as you or more or whatever.
Yeah.
And I understand that for those generations, it was also like comforting in like everything. You know, it was kind of like an answer to what wasn't known at the time.
Right.
And now maybe we know more things, not necessarily everything, but more things in general. So you can like pick religions or not, but it's not for them to blame that they were also like growing with
indoctrinated to a certain religion.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, it can justify like behaviors that are seen as not necessarily positive nowadays, but it's again like that's not part of like religion in and of itself either. It's just like how some people interpreted it and how it turned out to develop. But I necessarily wouldn't also blame them. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, a religion is just another form of societal dynamics, and like that religion has also evolved as much as technology has, and it has transformed into like the different types of people that they approach and how it works like institutionally. So yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily, I wouldn't necessarily blame the church's system today to like a certain generation. I think it's just something that has been being morphed into like how society looks like. Because religion, at the end of the day, we like it or not, it's a form of control as well. Like it plays a big role in our cultural society and how like
And
here
rules.
in Mexico we're very Catholic, you know, and that influences a lot of our decisions and aesthetics and like our society and how we think. And so it's just another way to it's another platform.
Right.
You know?
I would say, like, what are y'all's concluding thoughts on, like, did you learn anything, Marco, today? Was there anything like, did you have any epiphanies, or were you like, oh, I never thought about that, or, you know, or we need to talk more about that as a society or as an age group? Was there anything that you were like, oh, that deserves more exploration, or I'll get that in time? Is there anything that we touched on?
Yeah, so many things. I think where the difference between generations and where a lot of things that that we have right now are coming from. I never I haven't stopped to think of what were some ideas that maybe my grandparents have come from. I
Some of them may be really good, like, or at least the original premise was good. And
Yeah.
Hegel's thesis goes into things like, you know, like rigid views of like, what are kids supposed to do? What are parents supposed to do? What does a good family look like? Like it was actually a genuine intent on doing good. And then like later it morphs into something that looks like very rigid and bad. So I think Hegel's thesis, it goes into everything. Anytime you have an original idea of what you want something to be, and then what it actually is, you have the synthesis. So I think we think of our parents, right, as like, what are you laughing at, Mario?
The kids comments. I learned that Mario likes the wrong kind of ice cream.
You do.
I will defend.
They're all good. I think they're all good.
I will defend.
So
Roger.
you hadn't really stopped to consider, Marco, like the idea of like having compassion upwards versus, you know, receiving, or is it just like you never thought about the physical mechanics of what that looked like?
Yeah, I guess so. I surprised myself thinking, well, or giving the space to have the reflection of how how our generation labels stuff.
Right.
That yeah, I am thinking about it right now, and my parents never used the type of language of Gen Z.
Right.
I don't even know if they know what gen they are. And
Maybe
yeah,
not.
we're moving in a different world.
Yeah.
Us, we're
Is it getting better? Is it getting worse? Or is it like neutral? Or is it hard to say?
I think it's really hard to say, but I think, and I don't know if I'm right, but I feel like our generation is hungry.
Subscribe. Don't forget.
Is hungry for change in every aspect.
Yeah.
In nature, in politics, I see it in politics so much. We've been using the same system for years, and we're done. We want to change, and I see that we're hungry for that change. I'm very excited about that because our time will arrive. Definitely, our time will arrive.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Will
it come? Will heads roll?
Yeah, some heads will roll, but
yeah,
no, I don't want heads to roll. Just a few.
Some heads.
Some heads.
Cool rolling on the floor.
Yeah. I mean, I was kind of thought it would come earlier. You know what I mean? Like, not that I don't feel a part of any institution. In fact, otherwise I wouldn't be having these conversations. But I do think there's like a bridge needs to be formed.
Yeah.
There definitely has to be one.
Right.
There definitely has to be
we
one.
Can't have no bridge.
And communication between generations as well.
Yeah.
I think it's very important. I don't want to get into specifics about politics, also because we're about to end the live. But I see that there is a constant conflict between what Gen Z wants and what we actually want.
Right.
Yeah.
There is a lot of misinformation, and we will go out and we will prove what we actually want, and we will stop letting other generations say what we are supposedly wanting.
Sure.
Yeah. And yeah, just a bridge between generations. The older generations, they're adapting to us. Right now, they're starting to adapt. I see that in my own family. My mom is starting to adapt to how our world is moving. And I think we have to do the same right now, and we are going to have to do the same when we grow up. That's just how the world
we need to grow up.
Yes.
No, I mean we needed time to grow up to
Yeah.
actually make the change, because I think we're really close to that point.
Yeah.
We just need to.
Definitely.
I feel like we're still in training. It feels that way. We're still learning and training. We're waiting for the last people, like the last few years of Gen Zs to grow up, and then we will start actually making a change. At least that's the way that I want to think.
We will be unleashed.
Yeah. Released onto the
Released.
world.
I am curious to see what it will look like. They call it like the changing of the guard. There's a term, the old guard. So it's like the people who used to be in charge of something, an institution or whatever it may be. They're the old guard, and then there's like the new guard.
Yeah.
Right.
There was like a movie with Charlize Theron that's it's called The Old Guard, and it was like, but it's a play on words because it's actually a term that we use all the time. And so whenever you enter a company, they'll say like, "Oh, he's from the old guard." So it's like there's always a changing of the guard,
Right.
in terms of like who's maintaining, who's the gatekeeper, who controls that industry or whatever it may be, whether it's Hollywood or oil or petroleum or finance or politics, all these different things. You have the old guard and you have the new guard.
That expression, I've heard it more than delulu.
So now you knew that one.
Right.
So now you have that in your All right, you guys, we're gonna go get some rest. You guys have a good night.
Thank
Love
you.
you guys. Thank you for being
Have a
here.
great night.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for being
Thank
here.
you. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thank you,
Bye.
Richie.
Don't forget to like and
Y'all.
subscribe. I didn't say the whole stream.
Yeah.
But you
Like
guys
and subscribe.
like and subscribe. Like the
Yes.
basics. I forget like the basics. All right. Bye, guys. Like and subscribe.
now
Thank you so
it's-
much.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks, y'all.